My fellow Americans, let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. The integrity, AMT high.
Due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
We are now falling to the moon rather than rising away from Earth. It is an amazing milestone.
We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity, we're now resuming operational audio contact.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
All right there, good morning, happy Sunday. It is a beautiful, sparkling, sunlit uplands type of feel to London today. Well, that is until we start poking about in the news headlines, when you suddenly realise, well, we still live in dystopia. Anyway, great to have your company today. Usual setup, we got Paul Cox joining us in the last hour of the show for Weird Hour, so buckle yourselves up. Maybe get a three-fingered gin and tonic ready. I know it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but the sun's over the yard arm somewhere. We've also got Benedict Spence coming in at 11 o'clock as well. So all of the big hitters and favourites of this programme, but no bigger a hitter have we had thus far than the one I have to keep us company for the first hour. Things are going to get a little bit spicy, one would imagine, because I'm joined by the brilliant former Prime Minister Liz Truss. Good morning, Liz.
Hi, Alex. Great to be on the show.
I love the fact you're here. I briefed Liz, by the way, that this show is, well, a bit unhinged, full of mischief, that there will be no being too serious.
I like a bit of mischief.
I know you love mischief. Well, what about Peter Mandelson? He likes a bit of mischief as well. Is this going to be curtains for Starmer, do you think? Because, you know, as Prime Minister, you know how the systems work. You would have known, you know, who picks who, decisions are made this way, vettings are done that way. Do people pick up the phone to you directly? Does it go to your Chief of Staff? Did he know? What is going on here?
So I think Starmer will survive, because he's got control of the Labour Parliamentary Party. I think that Ollie Robbins didn't tell him about the decision, and he's prevented from telling him because of the law. But the fact is, the Labour Party rigged the Constitution. They created all these laws, including the Constitutional Reform and Governance Act, that essentially says to civil servants, you've got to make this decision independently, and you can't tell anybody what was in the vetting process, which is absolutely insane. And it was a law that Gordon Brown put in, part of the kind of Blairite era, which was all about taking power away from elected politicians and giving it to unaccountable bureaucrats. So I think Starmer didn't know, and even if he saw the rumours, it's very difficult to countermand what the Foreign Office is actually telling him. But we've created this crazy system in Britain where it's not just legal for civil servants to withhold information from the Prime Minister, it's actually illegal for them to tell him.
What?
And this is the kind of nuts thing that I found when I was Foreign Secretary and when I was in Number 10. And look, I'm no fan of Keir Starmer. I think he's a terrible Prime Minister. He's ruined the British economy. He's sold off, all of our overseas interests. He's denigrated the armed forces. He's allowed, millions of asylum seekers. He's a dreadful man. He's a dreadful man.
He's a dreadful man.
But in this particular case, it is a problem with our system that the Prime Minister isn't told stuff like this. And there was the farce this week of Cat Little, who is the head of the Cabinet Office, having to get permission from the government lawyers to be able to tell another civil servant what's in the files. I mean,
that is
we
crazy.
have just created this insane, and I have been in this Kafkaesque nightmare. I lived it in Number 10, where I had the issue that the Bank of England did not tell me what they were doing, even though the Prime Minister should be in charge of the country's policy. So I know what it is like.
So basically, it's sort of like the quangocracy. The civil service are running the country. The Prime Minister's like a passenger on the ride or something.
Yes.
My gosh.
It is. It is. And look, Keir Starmer is up to his neck in this because he was one of the architects of things like the Human Rights Act, the Constitutional Reform Act, that gave away all this power. It gave the power to the unelected judges and the unelected bureaucrats, and now he's being hoisted on its own petard. So it's quite funny seeing him struggling with the system that he created along with Gordon Brown and Tony Blair. But my warning to any future Prime Minister is you have to dismantle this stuff first.
Right.
If you think that this is just Keir Starmer being incompetent or being an idiot or being evil, you are making the same mistake that Keir Starmer made.
But he is incompetent and evil, though, at the
He
same
is
time.
incompetent and evil, but it's not just that, Alex.
Yeah.
And what I fear about the whole narrative that's going on this week is people can't believe how nuts the system is.
Right.
They're like, well, he must have known. How can they possibly not have told him? That happens every day in Whitehall. The information is suppressed.
What, from ministers, from the Prime Minister?
Yeah. And it's basically what the Constitutional Reform and Governance Act did, and this is all, it sounds like a
Technical,
boring technical act. But what it does is it says these civil servants are independent and impartial. They make the decisions, and the minister can't get involved in that. That's so. For example, decisions about vetting, decisions about, in the case of the Bank of England, Act, monetary policy. So we've created, as a system, all of these bits of legislation that essentially prevent officials from consulting ministers about things.
That is
which is nuts.
I mean,
but if you look at the debate around all this stuff, it's like, it's important that we have independent decision makers. It's important that experts are in charge. But this is the end result of it.
So
this
you have
is
a
where you get
quangocracy that's technically not tarnished by the sort of besmirchment of politics and sort of partisan decision
but now
making.
you have a situation where Ollie Robbins has made this decision and he was not allowed to consult ministers about the decision.
Right.
When he made the decision to overrule the security services vetting.
So Starmer basically picked Mandelson and said, I want this guy, and then the rest of it just goes into system, and system decides what system decides, and then system doesn't even tell the Prime Minister.
All they say is Ollie Robbins has approved his appointment. They're not able to say he failed the vetting.
Right.
Or that the security services recommended it, because ultimately the decision maker in this case is Ollie Robbins.
So Ollie Robbins is right to have, been thrown under the bus, so to speak. That's okay, because he must have been the one, therefore, to overrule the vetting and decide, well, that doesn't matter.
That's not necessarily the wrong decision to overrule the vetting, because that is a decision he's entitled to make. And presumably Starmer wanted him to overrule the vetting.
Because he wanted
Mandelson, and he knew damn well how corrupt Mandelson was already. You know, we knew about Epstein, we knew about lots of different things. So given that Keir Starmer basically wanted Mandelson, Ollie Robbins probably second-guessed that and wanted to
make sure
that
he got his
3 weeks
pick.
into the job.
Right, so it's a bit too late to then pull him out and go like, oh, well, turns out he can't be an ambassador anymore because he's a bit too corrupt. Never mind.
But, you know, it's like a really perverse situation, but it's created by this system that tries to separate out these independent decisions and independent bodies from political accountability. So,
why do you think Starmer wanted Mandelson so much in the first place when there was a perfectly good, respected ambassador in America who was from the civil service, from the diplomatic corps, had lots of experience and was going down quite well in Washington? Why then turn around and go, oh, do you know what would be a great idea? Let's replace her with someone whose reputation is toxic.
Because Mandelson is a key player in the new Labour establishment that has basically been running this country since 1997.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a 14-year interlude, but they retained a lot of their power during that time, you know, within the civil service, within the quirocracy. You know, we've had essentially a Blairite system.
This whole time. It never left.
Well, everything, you know, whether it's Keynesian economics, human rights law, mass immigration, climate change extremism, all this stuff has just continued. And Mandelson is a key part of that. He's a close friend of Morgan McSweeney. Even though Morgan McSweeney's been sacked, you know, he is still carrying a lot of power within the Labour Parliamentary Party. They were responsible for a lot of the Labour MPs who got selected and got elected at the last election. You know, it was Morgan McSweeney's wife, Imogen Walker. You know, she's one of the whips. You know, so they have a large degree of control over the parliamentary party. A bit, by the way, in the same way that the Conservative Parliamentary Party got taken over by a cabal of people. The same is true of the Labour Party, and Peter Mandelson was their man.
And I assume that the cabal basically would have picked Starmer to be their Prime Minister as well. They sort of,
Starmer owed Mandelson. He owed Morgan McSweeney, he owed Mandelson, he wanted him in the job.
Here we go, Sean in Gloucester. Good old Gloucester. Best city on earth. Well, debatable, but I have to be, you know, loyal to my upbringing. Very interesting what Liz Truss revealed about the system in the civil service, but Mandelson shouldn't have even been considered for the ambassador role in the first place. Please ask Liz Truss, can the civil servants tell the PM the result of the vetting, but not the detail of why the negative result?
So the only result they could tell him was the fact that Ollie Robbins had said yes.
Right.
Because the vetting process is advisory. So the vetting people say, we advise not to appoint Peter Mandelson because of all his links to China. Ollie Robbins then can either say, I accept their recommendation or I don't accept it. He then cannot tell the Prime Minister the details of what went on in that discussion between him and the security services, according to the law that was codified in 2010. So all these rules existed before 2010, but they were more informal.
Right.
So in the olden days, you know, under Thatcher, probably the Permanent Secretary might have whispered in her ear, you are aware of this.
Right. You
because it's now in the law, you can't do that because these people are independent and they... So if Ollie Robbins had, and this is his argument, if Ollie Robbins had disclosed the fact that he'd overruled the recommendation, he would be in breach of the law. So,
right.
So that's what changed in 2010. All these informal rules, you know, the system where there was a bit of give and take that the civil servants could have informal discussion with ministers. It's become more and more regularised, legalised. So everybody is working in this sort of web of law. And I remember at the time when I was Prime Minister, you know, the Office of Budget Responsibility did not want to have a direct discussion with me. You know, everything had to be official, formal, minuted,
just get a little
public
letter or something.
Yeah, exactly. The same with the Bank of England. You know, so you've got these parts of government with really serious responsibilities, whether it's vetting or monetary policy or fiscal policy, that there's no process for actually jointly developing. It's
so everything's
mad.
like acting in silos and then
It's
sending
mad.
the occasional notes to each other.
It's completely mad, and I think that people who haven't been in it, and I think it's got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And these civil servants live in fear of breaking the law, breaking the civil service code, because that's now codified in law.
Right.
This is why they're running around getting legal advice, which is nuts. Because in my view, the Prime Minister should be privy to every single piece of information.
Yeah, all of it. You'd think. I got a couple of questions that have sprung to mind. Don't know which one to pick first. Let's go for the idea of the cabal in politics, whether it be Conservatives or Labour Party, because to me, this seems to sort of stretch beyond party politics. Weird relationship going on with Mandelson and Osborne. Both seem to love a bit of China. Ollie Robbins, was part of the failed Brexit negotiations.
He was also at Goldman Sachs.
Right. Okay, is that what sort of cabal tentacle gets into?
So is Rishi Sunak.
Wow.
The Robert Jenrick on his recent reform policies consulted George Osborne.
I know.
And
what's going on there? Why is George Osborne still floating about like a bad smell? Get him gone. Who will rid us of this troublesome priest?
Well, this is the issue, that we have an establishment in Britain that has successfully infiltrated the political system.
And it goes beyond the parties,
And it goes beyond the party. It also goes beyond the country.
That's what I was going to say.
It goes beyond the country. If you look at Mark Carney, who was
Bank of
Canada,
yeah,
then Bank of England, where he completely stuffed up the economy and created lots of inflation through quantitative easing, and also shafted young people who can now not get on the housing ladder because of asset inflation. World Economic Forum, darling, one of the main instigators behind all the net zero policies, now
Prime
running
Minister
Canada.
So
there is much more of a kind of oligarchic cabal of people who are involved in senior levels of politics, senior levels of the bureaucracy, institutions like the World Economic Forum. And they float around from job to job.
I've noticed, they do. And I've noticed how, it's funny, isn't it? Because I remember Barroso, when he was EU Commission President, he was something to do with Goldman Sachs. It all sort of, it does, if you were to sit there and plot it like a constellation, it does all interrelate and overlap. Is there anything formal to it, though? Because I've noticed recently that at the moment it seems like Carney, Albanese and Starmer are a little trio who act in lockstep on everything. It's like, guys, should we all ban X because of, people making pictures of kids on Grok or something? Or guys, let's all ban social media for under 16. Guys, it's time to thaw our relations with China. Guys, let's all stand up against Donald Trump. It seems to me the three of them are only a phone call away and are working as a unit, working in lockstep, which I don't think is necessarily unusual in the Anglosphere. It's kind of what I'd hope for the Anglosphere, except not when the communists are running it.
Yes, I think there are lots of institutions that support this type of activity. Of course, the Soros network has bankrolled much of this left-wing activism. I don't think there's some sort of evil people in an underground lair kind of planning the future of the world. But I think the left is very well networked, very well funded. There's a lot of groupthink. Ideas that were in the universities, like transgender ideology, are now mainstream. The sort of environmentalists, all the postmodernists. Keynesian economics has just completely taken over. The monetarists have been, basically taken out of our universities and other institutions. So the policies pursued by the central banks are the same, they are in lockstep with the IMF. So there has been a leftist takeover of a lot of institutions. I think David Lammy has just come back from some lefty conference where all these people were collaborating, and Soros Jr. was there, and that nutty economist was there, and all of these, they have a network. And one of the reasons that I'm establishing CPAC GB is I think that the sovereigntist liberty movement don't have a similar network. The
right aren't good at getting together.
No, and we have essentially been completely outflanked by the left for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump is a breakthrough, but he's an unusual breakthrough in a world that has been heading leftwards. Every country is becoming higher tax, higher spending, more money printing,
higher welfare, open borders.
Yeah, all of it. And the same policies have been enacted. And as you say, even the same wording on the legislation, restricting social media, restricting free speech, Canada, Britain, Australia, but also, Starmer is desperate to suck up to Macron and, all of the Euro.
Oh, we're going to get on to that.
All of the Euro people. So, and the EU is obviously a centre of this
that is the nexus, isn't it, basically?
Well, I think London is quite a nexus as well, unfortunately. I think when Trump managed to drum these people out of Washington, D.C., I think the kind of leftist globalist nexus is in London and it is in Brussels.
Oh. Well, let's get back onto that. We've got to take a break. I'm loving this. I'm getting my brain is about to turn into scrambled egg. Talking about that, Ratty, have you got my breakfast? Goodo. He should have ordered it early, and I'm going to have to sort of surreptitiously try and munch during an advert break, give myself indigestion. Yeah, boo-hoo to you as well. Right, if you want to join the conversation, if you've got any questions for Liz, feel free. You can phone us up, 03444 99 1000. It is your normal network rate, so it don't cost you anything, unlike my breakfast, which ain't for free. Also, you can send us a WhatsApp on that number, 03444 99 1000, or leave us a voice note. 87222 is the number if you'd like to send a text message. If you're going to do that, you've got to write the word talk before you text. Right, housekeeping done. Put the kettle on. I'll see you in just a moment.
Why have they got exclusive rights to the rainbow?
I used to think the pride flag used to look cool when it was just a rainbow, and now it looks so ugly.
But yeah, well, why have they got
why can't we have the rainbow? And black to a rainbow.
Why can't we have the rainbow? Why have they got to have it?
Or why don't you do planks next week wearing a rainbow jacket? Go on.
Well, yeah, I think I will. I think I will. Let's move on.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
The things we talk about during advert breaks. So first of all, just a little aside before I've got so many things I want to get stuck into, as well as my breakfast. Let me move that sort of out the way. There we go. Bye-bye. See you in a moment. We're talking about hot beverages and political leanings. Very important stuff in politics. Because I've seen exactly the same report as you, where it's sort of, you know, judge what sort of milk you have in your tea and coffee, suggests what sort of politics you follow. And I wasn't at all surprised by the fact that all the fake news milk belongs to the left wing. Because, I mean, you know, if you're drinking oat milk, you probably shout free, free Palestine. Not necessarily if you're a right winger out there who likes oat milk, you are the unicorn. But do you think there's like a sort of amount of fat in your milk also comes into it? Because I'm gold top.
Definitely. So the most traditionalist people are the people that drink the full fat milk, like regular milk. And of course the lefties are drinking almond milk and they're drinking, you know, oat milk and all this fake soya milk. But I was reading the black coffee drinkers, because I don't take milk in my coffee. They're either Reform or Green Party.
Just extremists.
It's the radical. It's the radical choice.
The radical
to not
choice.
have milk
It's
at all.
dairy-free.
It's just like completely pure caffeine.
I love it. But you do find this strange thing where sort of wings of parties sort of come round and meet in the middle. I've noticed there's an extremely right-wing movement around at the moment. I'm not a big fan of how extremely right-wing some people are becoming. But to me, they're sort of, some of them are sounding so extreme that they're sort of meeting in the middle with the very Islamists that they all want mass deported. It's like, it's crazy.
But don't you think as well that what's going on in Britain now is we've had an establishment in charge of this country.
Mandelson and Osborne?
Well, yeah, certainly since '97 and Blair, and they created all these laws like the Human Rights Act, the Climate Change Act, Bank of England Act, Constitutional Reform Act, that basically gave all this power to these unelected bureaucrats and judges. They've moved the country to the left dramatically. And so people really want change. And they're looking to non-establishment parties. And that is why you're seeing the rise of Reform, but also even Restore or the Greens. And the question is, how can you stop those parties being infiltrated by the very people that caused the problem in the first place?
Do you think Reform's made a big mistake taking Tory defectors? Do you think that, or do you think that was a sort of canny move in terms of these people have some experience?
I'm friends with people like Andrew Rosendale. I think, I've said of Jenrick, he is pursuing the establishment policies that essentially failed to change the dial when the Conservatives were in government. So I think that is a mistake.
Wow. Got loads of questions coming in for you. Then after that, I feel like I need to make not just a list in my head, but a vocal list of the things I want to talk about, because I really need to talk to you about the banking giants, because we're talking about the sort of evil networks, the ones linked to Iranian money laundering. I want to get onto that. Then, of course, we've got to talk about the EU. But here we go. Just going to... please ask Liz if the left wing are the new far right. I think the new far right are the new left wing, personally.
I actually think that basically Zach Polanski and co they're the provisional wing of the current left, like Miliband. So they're just a more extreme version, and they're trying to push the Overton window even more to the left. And the fact is, we're already a very socialist country. Our wage compression, like the difference between the highest and lowest earners, is worse than the Soviet Union.
Do you know what
this is like, we live in a really socialist country, but the Greens are trying to persuade us, oh, that's not true. We need a wealth tax, we need everybody's money confiscating, everybody's got to live in public housing. So I think they are a kind of tool of the left to push things in that direction. I don't think they're really a radical anti-establishment party. I think they're part of the left-wing establishment.
Now, when someone says, Brian in Margate, beautiful Margate, I'll bet you've got good weather today. Why are you not on the beach, lad? Actually, don't. Stay tuned. Or take us to the beach. You can listen to us on YouTube and we can go with you. Cockles and whelks for me. My perfect Sunday, waking up to a gorgeous sandwich of Liz and Alex. What a dirty little sandwich that is. That is definitely a high-protein sandwich. There's no, I was about to say, there's no lettuce involved. Sorry to back the pun. Could you ask Liz what would have been her plan of tackling immigration and the left if they didn't sabotage it and she had more time? That's a very good question. What would you have done about the immigration situation?
Well, what I wanted to do, and essentially we only had 2 years until the election, so I thought the most important priority was sorting out energy and sorting out the economy, so getting fracking, using North Sea oil and gas stopping raising taxes to ridiculous levels that were going to put any business off investing and any person off working. So that was like, to me, that was flashing red.
Yeah.
We were already talking about restricting immigration on things like student visas, raising the salary cap, making it harder. In terms of doing what we needed to do on immigration, though, you can't do it without reversing the Human Rights Act.
Yeah, you've got to get rid of all of that dead weight,
but
all the
it's not just the
bureaucracy.
Human Rights Act, it's also the Constitutional Reform Act that gave the judges all the power. It's also the Constitutional Reform and Governance Act. So my plan was do what we could ahead of the general election, win the general election on a massive change mandate, and then repeal all of the Blair laws.
Yeah.
Repeal all of the Blair laws. And you've got to have... The reason I couldn't do it in 22 is we only had 2 years until the election. And I know to actually really shift the dial on immigration, you can't do it with a current system in place. You can't do it with the current Home Office in place. You can't do it with a Human Rights Act in place. And my frustration at present is I don't think any of the leaders of any of the political parties quite understand that you need to completely change the state.
Yeah.
Because, like, Blair is just, you know, he's rigged it. He's completely rigged it.
So the public seem to get this, though. This is what's amazing. The public, in all of that, you know, despite
not all of the public,
not
quite
all
a lot of the public. I mean, come on. Let's look at what the public said this week. The public said that we are as rich as the 7th richest US state. In fact, we're poorer than Mississippi. We're like number 51.
Right.
In terms of US states and how well off they are. So I think a lot of the public get hoodwinked.
Oh, they've
about
been brainwashed.
How bad, you know, they do not understand how bad it is. They don't understand how much debt we're in. They don't understand that, you know, we are pretty close to the precipice, and we're only being kept afloat because the Bank of England's printing money.
Right.
And they're printing money because they are the friends of Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer.
Right.
They wouldn't be printing money if this was a Conservative government or a Reform
Would they
government.
just be letting things go to wreck and ruin, basically? Because that's the thing. You challenge the system so much, the system just went, no, we've got to kill her off, basically.
But the day before we announced our budget, the Bank of England announced the start of quantitative tightening. So they've been printing money all the time during COVID, all the time during you know,
and
the financial crisis.
To decide to do that.
And the day before, they suddenly announced, oh no, we're doing quantitative tightening. We're going to sell off government gilts to the tune of £40 billion.
Yeah, and nothing to do with that decision coming after your budget.
No,
to do
exactly.
with
But
people like that just don't understand that, and it drives me
mad. They
mad.
don't understand it because we have a mainstream media that is in hock to the same people.
Totally.
They're all part of the same cabal.
Yeah, that's what's ironic, because I mean, I always say it's legacy media, because mainstream, they're not. They are part of a cabal. Right, question for Liz. From your experience in Number 10, what advice would you give to the next government to take back control for ministers and stop the civil service over... Well, we've kind of gone through that, just wrecking ball the lot of it.
I would say that the whole structure of the civil service doesn't work anymore. It didn't work that well, even in the kind of yes minister days.
Yeah.
Sir Humphrey had too much power. But Blair just put that on steroids.
Yeah.
And you now have a system where the Prime Minister doesn't really run the show. So the first thing that has to be done is you have to bring in a new system, you have to bring in new people.
Yeah.
They have to be people who are experienced at running businesses, not running a bureaucracy, because the thing the civil service are great at is pen pushing.
Yeah.
You know, you can watch this Mandelson thing, it's like, yeah, I've spent 10 weeks getting legal advice from these other people to be able to talk to these further people about how... But, you know, and that's what they've become good at. And it's not... I don't criticise the individuals, they're just part of a system.
Yeah.
But you have to replace that system. You have to repeal all of the Blairite laws.
There you go.
And, you know, people like Badenoch or Farage, you know, they're talking about the Human Rights Act, they're talking about the Climate Change Act. In my view, they also need to talk about the Constitutional Reform and Governance Act, the Constitutional Reform Act that established the Supreme Court. They need to have a plan on day one to get rid of this stuff.
Because if they don't, that stuff will just say you can't do this. It'll be computer says no. Supreme Court, but there'll be illegal challenges to anything that's decided.
And the way it works at the moment, so let's say I'm the Home Secretary and I want to deploy boats in the Channel to turn around the small boats.
Yeah.
if I want to do that.
Get the Navy
What would
involved or
happen is
something.
I say to the Permanent Secretary, right, get the Navy in. They will say, Minister, I'm sorry, but that's illegal under international law. I have this opinion from the Government Legal Department. By the way, the Government Legal Department is also not appointed by ministers. So they decide what's legal and what's not legal, and they just say, we're not doing it. And I think people don't understand.
There's no way of overriding that.
You can't override it. You can't override it. It's
Apart
all
from build
in the
your
law.
own boat.
No, but the point is, we have laws now in place that essentially stop ministers from overriding civil servants.
We kind of have laws in place that stop new laws almost, that stop this. It's crazy. I want to talk to you about something else, which,
the only law they don't stop is international law. So obviously giving away the Chagos Island or paying to give away the Chagos Island is absolutely fine because that's in line with what international law allegedly says and what civil servants want.
I've always wondered what happens if you break international law. You don't go to international law prison.
But they won't even let you break international law.
Right.
Because the ministerial code says you have to follow international law. The civil service code, which is now in law, says you have to follow the law. So they won't let you break international law.
It's so maddening. It's so maddening.
I've had all these arguments. I had the argument over the Northern Ireland Protocol. I had the argument over the OBR. I've been through all this, and I know, this is why I know that you have to reset the entire system, that you will not... People that think they can go in and just be a bit less evil and a bit more competent than Keir Starmer do not understand how much the system has been completely rigged, and it's in law.
Yeah.
These laws have to be reversed in Parliament.
And then what do you do about the House of Lords? Because there's, like, you know, a glut of leftists in there. Starmer keeps chucking more and more people in there.
We've still got the Parliament Act, so ultimately the House of Lords can delay things, but they can't stop them.
Right. It just means everything is, like, trudging through treacle. It's just like, you know, getting yourself
But the
out
House
of the
of
Gordian
Lords,
knot.
I don't think is as big a problem as the bureaucracy.
Right.
Because ultimately the House of Lords can only delay stuff.
Right. But it can't, it can't make an overriding
actually
decision.
stop stuff, and whereas the bureaucracy can stop stuff.
I want to talk to you now about this amazing story in the Telegraph today. It's not amazing in terms of it shocks me not, but it's amazing because, you know, here we go. Of course this is going on. Banking giants are accused of having links to Iranian money laundering. Big multinational banks, HSBC, Standard Chartered, as well as JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of New York Mellon, that they've essentially been linked to potential money laundering for Tehran. This doesn't surprise me because the way that people have treated Iran up until Donald Trump, to me, has been maddening. We had the guy who was the Iranian nuclear inspector, an expert in that field, for 10 years, and he said they were this close to be able to put nuclear warheads on ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles. They enriched enough uranium to make dirty bombs. They could still potentially do that now if they can get to that stuff. Of course we had to stop them. But he also said to me, did you know which countries were the ones giving Iran all the technology and... Blimmin' Germany was one of them. And I remember this from my own days in the European Parliament when they were pushing the JCPOA. I looked at trading statistics. Germany and France, they're like, way, we're doing all this great business with Iran. And that's the thing. When it comes to this stuff, I'm trying to open a business bank account at the moment, and no doubt I'm like a politically exposed person and I wouldn't be allowed. Yeah, like to sit. I just sit here. You can see what I do is broadcast. Can I put my money in a business bank account, please? Because I can't survive under Rachel Reeves. No, not you. You're clearly really sketchy. We're gonna have to take 5 weeks to decide if you can have a bank account as a British citizen. But Iran, yeah, go on then. Throw your money here. It's just, this is what we're sort of talking about, the network.
So many of these banks are so compromised. They're particularly compromised to China. Quite a few of those you mentioned are deeply embedded with China. China is deeply embedded with Iran. And Europe has been taking the money. You know, Germany was taking lots of gas and oil from Russia. It was busy trying to do deals with China. Likewise, France, you know, there was a huge delegation of French executives who went over to try and sell their Louis Vuitton handbags. And, you know,
the Chinese are so good at copying them.
There's no... and, you know, what one of the many things I like about what President Trump is doing, he's forcing them to choose.
Yeah.
Because they've want to had it both ways. They've had America spending all the money on NATO, helping protect Europe, at the same time as they've been appeasing America's enemy is like Iran.
Yeah.
And I was involved in the attempt to try and resuscitate the JCPOA. I was never a supporter of it. I pushed very hard to say sanctions need to go back on Iran. They're not going to sign up to a deal. They're clearly kicking the can down the road while they're busy building nuclear facilities.
Yeah. With the help of Germany.
But the French and the Germans did not want to know. They did not want to know.
They just see the bottom line. We've got to go for another advert break. I'm enjoying myself too much and I'm missing all my advert break times and Ratty's getting very flustered. But don't go anywhere because we're back just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There's so much to talk about, not enough time. We've only got 18 minutes left. This feels grossly unfair. Let's talk a little bit quickly about the EU, because we're just going back in. I read that Starmer wants to now realign us with all the single market rules. Well, just get back in it. Just do it. Do you know, if you want to make us do that, just be back in it. Don't pretend that we're, somehow out of it still. But I was reading, again, not a surprise for any of us who know how the EU works, that we're going to be dragged back into Erasmus, which I think is pointless because we got all the best universities, so why are we letting them come and use them for free? And part of this is like school kids are going to be like literally from the age of 5 have to sort of, have EU flags, learn about the EU, sing its praises, learn its fake national anthem. It's like the USSR on steroids, that
Isn't it probably
institution.
going on already in British schools, though, given all the lefty teachers? I mean, this is...
Exactly.
Like, leaving the EU has not had any negative impact on the British economy. All of the studies show that exports have continued. It's not had any impact at all. What it has had is a kind of psychological impact for a certain type of middle-class liberal who just can't accept it and think Britain has become like a vulgar, dreadful, uncultured country because we've left the EU. And they're just desperately trying to get back into it at any cost. And Starmer is just classic of that genre. The reason the British economy is failing is taxes too high, we've shafted ourselves with net zero, we've got a big problem with mass migration. That's the real reason that the economy is in dire straits, but it's just so against their worldview.
What do you make of the madness of Sanchez in Spain, basically saying to 500,000 random men from places like Bangladesh, Pakistan, oh, you can live here now?
But they're making explicit what they've been doing for years, which is using immigration to shore up their vote. And we saw Joe Biden doing that in America. You know, we're seeing that in Britain. And now Sanchez has just been completely explicit.
Yeah.
So the left have had this strategy for a long time. And Starmer is an open borders lefty.
Oh,
That's
massively.
that is what his, core thinking is. But Sanchez has gone a step further.
It's madness. I think all hell's going to break loose in Spain, I'm sure. Gary from the Isle of Skye says, can you please ask Liz what she thinks of Starmer constantly referring to her in derogatory terms in PMQs? I noticed that for a long time. If ever he was challenged on something, he just used to pull the Liz Truss lever.
Yeah, well, he's got a few excuses. So he's got Trump, Brexit, Liz Truss. And
the Holy Trinity, baby!
Given that I think they're all great things, I'm proud of that. But I stand for taking on the lefty establishment, and that is what Keir Starmer hates about me. And you can see all of the cabal of the bureaucrats, the left-wing media, the Labour Party. I am the Antichrist as far as they're concerned.
I think that's one of the best holy trinities to be part of. In fact, you can't really beat it, can you? If only I could lever myself into it. Talk about levering myself into the goodness of right-wingery. Let's talk about CPAC Great Britain, because I think it's a great idea. We were talking earlier about how the left, they love hierarchy, they love organisations and bureaucracy, don't they? That's the problem with the left wing. They love systems. And the right wing sort of, hate all that stuff because we're the true lovers of liberty. And so, as a result, I think the right wing is just really bad at organising itself to work together. So, with that thinking in mind, is that really at the core of this idea of getting CPAC so people can actually get together, discuss ideas?
It is. And we're seeing across the world people are rebelling against this left-wing establishment that has left us in penury. You were talking about Spain. France is in massive trouble. Germany's in massive trouble. The US have got Trump, but they've still got all these lefties like Mandami or Gavin Newsom or AOC who are fighting back against them. We've got the revolution that's going on in Argentina. And the left have used all these tactics like debanking people, lawfare, cancelling people, lying. That they have a playbook that they are using around the world, and we need a playbook to take them on. The other thing CPAC is about is bringing together all the people in Britain who are so frustrated about the direction of our country, but aren't necessarily involved in political parties. So the farmers, the Bitcoin people who are frustrated with our currency being constantly debased, the free speech advocates, the people who are concerned about lockdowns or lockdowns being reimposed. We need to galvanise those people to create momentum behind this country changing. Because what we were talking about earlier is it's not just the political parties that are a problem here. It's the whole system. And to change the whole system, you need a popular movement that are actually going to stand up for truth, for freedom, for sovereignty. Because if it's just the political parties, what happens is they get captured. So if you spend too long in SW1, which is like a swamp business, you get captured by this kind of crazy thinking, and you almost begin to believe that's reality.
It's like the same like people living in algorithms online, where everyone in the echo chamber says the same thing. It is like that.
But that is what's going on. And so CPAC is going to be a place where those people can come together, where we talk about free speech, we talk about migration, we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about deindustrialization. We have great podcasters, independent media, people like you, Alex Phillips, will be on stage, will be doing your show at CPAC. And it is a way of building up big momentum behind change in this country.
So when's it going to take place? Where is it? And if people listening here are like, oh my gosh, I want to go to that jamboree of brilliance, can they?
They can. They can. So it's 16th through 18th of July at the O2 Intercontinental Hotel in London. It's £100 for a ticket for the 2.5 days. You will see all of your favourite politicians, media personalities, people from around the world, people who believe in common sense values that we so desperately need here in Britain. And the website, I'm sure you can put it on your X or on Can you put stuff across your screen? I don't know.
There you go. We're going to get someone literally typing it out.
/ Great Britain, I think, is the...
CPAC /
Or is it
forward slash?
Maybe.
I thought, what's a backslash?
It's just a thing in the opposite direction. I don't know.
A left-leaning slash? You can't have a left-leaning slash
All right,
for CPAC.
it's some kind of slash anyway. There we are.
Just, maybe it's just a slash from Guns N' Roses. Who knows? Right, so here we go.
I'll let the people at Talk come up with the actual
they can find
website
the
address.
URL and copy-paste, I'm sure. Someone can do that.
I actually put it out on my Twitter account this morning, so...
Oh, here, there's so many messages. I've got to ask you. Not enough time to do them all. Please ask Liz, why didn't she just call an election instead of letting that backstabber Rishi take over?
Because the point is that the Conservative Parliamentary Party, who by and large wanted Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, could have got rid of me before I called an election.
Right.
This is what people don't understand.
But they'd have got Graham Brady out of the stationery cupboard.
Exactly. They would have said, look, there's an alternative leader who's prepared to form a government. We don't want a general election, and ultimately Parliament has to vote for a general election.
Okay,
so they could have stopped.
We got Lego.
Oh, amazing!
Amazing. Right-leaning slash.
Is that a forward slash or backslash?
Forward slash. I don't even know. I feel like a backslash is a rogue invader. I'm not sure a backslash... Does it even exist?
I'm sure it does exist, but anyway, we're getting distracted. But the point is that the people that call the shots are the Parliamentary Party collectively.
Right.
And they're the people who fundamentally didn't want to back me against the deep state and wanted to install Rishi Sunak and have more of the same.
Why do you think that is? Is it just because they're not very political? They're not independent thinkers?
Believe me, if I could have done anything else, I would have done it.
Yeah.
But my back was against the wall. I'd basically been forced by the Bank of England to reverse the policies on threat of a debt crisis. And I knew the Bank of England could engineer a debt crisis. They'd successfully engineered the chaos around the mini budget by announcing the sale of gilts the day before.
Yeah.
So I knew that they could engineer that. And the problem is the Conservative Party weren't prepared to back me in Parliament.
Why do you think that is? Is it because there are too many people in politics today who are in it as a vanity project, who don't really have conviction and don't get it?
Well, they're Conservatives in name only, and these are the people who said back in the late 2000s, we want to be the heir to Blair. You know, the group of people...
Hug a hoodie.
Yeah, hug a hoodie.
Stroke a husky.
And they shaped the Conservative Party in their own image. The candidate selection since 2010 deliberately rooted out anybody who was a genuine Conservative and instead installed lots of technocrats.
Yeah.
And that's... I mean, I described the Conservative Party after the 2024 election as survival of the wettest because you ended up with all of these MPs like Mel Stride, who are basically part of the establishment.
Yeah, I couldn't really pick Mel Stride out of a crowd, if I'm honest.
But that's the kind of people they want.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people they want. And this is somebody who, believes in the Bank of England, believes in the Office of Budget Responsibility, doesn't want to challenge the institutions. And that's, I'm afraid, there were too many Conservative MPs like that.
Do you think Jenrick's that club?
Well, he's already said that he wants to keep the OBR, not challenge the Bank of England, keep the triple lock. Doesn't seem like change to me.
It doesn't seem like change to me.
And he's getting praise from George Osborne, so you can draw your own conclusions from that, Alex.
This question I think you've just answered, which is why didn't the Tories during their 14 years in power not reverse a lot of the powers given to civil service? Well, it sounds to me like we've kind of got that one covered.
I think the other thing is, so there were these cabal of bad actors who were Conservatives in name only who wanted to be theirs to Blair.
Yeah.
But also a lot of people didn't understand quite how bad it was. So I think Blair was clever at the way he introduced all these bits of legislation which are apparently separate, but they created this massive web. And by the time you get into power, it's too late.
Yeah.
Because every day is just a tsunami of shit you've got to deal with. So you have to think about this and do this before you get into power. And so the time for actually thinking about changing it was 2005 to 2010.
Right.
That's where the Conservatives went so badly wrong. They said, we want to be the heirs to Blair. We accept all this stuff about climate change.
So basically, when David Cameron became party leader,
basically,
and it was all got a bit woke, and that tree, they changed the logo to the tree. That was the beginning of the end.
Well,
Bring back the torch, I say.
But what we have to make sure is 2029 isn't another false dawn.
In what sense? Is this about making sure reform stay on the right? Is it about saying reform aren't good enough?
Whoever becomes the Prime Minister needs to, and I don't know who that will be at this stage. I mean, by the way, if we don't see a radical enough alternative on the right, we're going to see a Green Labour coalition.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. So the right needs to get their act together.
The right needs to get their act together. I think they need to be tactical and make sure the right get into power, but also they have to be brave.
But it's not enough. And getting into power without a plan to deal with the deep state will be a disaster.
Right, someone says, Scott in Surrey, can you ask Liz if she thinks Starmer has a problem with women? The way he conducts himself and refers to women when challenged seems very odd to me, whether that be about Liz or Kemi or Rosie Duffield. I think he's the sort of man who's just got a problem with human beings.
Well, I think he's obsessed with me, to be honest. It's getting quite embarrassing.
Do you think he dreams about you at night?
Exactly.
Do you think he's sort of a little bit into
I don't want to think about that. I really don't want to think about that, Alex.
But Alex, please could we have Liz on as often as possible? She's the Maggie of the 2020s and should be front and centre, or actually front and right in British politics. If I ask you that live on air, it's sort of like almost writing an oral contract with me. I'll come to CPAC if you come back on the show. There we go. In fact,
you've already agreed to come to CPAC. You've already agreed to be a headliner.
But also, I love
you've already selected your official photo, Alex.
I have selected. Well, I actually gave Kane a series of photos to choose from because I'm too vain to pick my own photo. It just ends up in misery because I've got like what I think is some sort of like camera tick. You know, I'm okay on video just about, although I never watch myself back. But as soon as someone sticks a camera in my face, I've got one pose alone, which is that's it. It's like all of a sudden my neck gets broken and pushed to one side. Morning, Alex. I think Liz is fabulous and would be an asset to reform. Would you ever go and hang out with the boys in turquoise?
What I'm focused on at the moment with CPAC is bringing together everybody who wants to change the country. That's what I'm focused on.
So we've got to do, unite the right, as they love to say. I think, haven't we got
We've
time
also got to remove the people from the right who aren't actually on the right. I think that's equally as important as uniting the right.
How do we do that?
Because what we had in the Conservative parties, we had just loads of people that weren't Conservatives.
Oh, get them gone. Right, on that note, we got to get you gone, sadly. I would keep you for the whole 2 hours more, and you'd love it, because it gets very strange at 12 o'clock. We have Weird Hour with Paul Cox, and it's just talking about utter madness.
It's probably UFOs and stuff like that. I know you're into that,
you know
Alex.
Me so well.
That's why I'm leaving now.
Notice I didn't ask you if you know if aliens exist. Anyway, Liz, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. You don't get to go anywhere, though. Stay tuned. I am back just after this.
Why have they got exclusive rights to the rainbow?
I used to think the pride flag used to look cool when it was just a rainbow, and now it looks so ugly.
But yeah, well, why have they got
why
can't we have the
brown and
rainbow?
black to a rainbow?
Why can't we have the rainbow? Why have they got to have it?
Or why don't you do planks next week wearing a rainbow jacket? Go on.
Well, yeah, I think I will. I think I will. Let's move on.
My fellow Americans, let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. The integrity, AM2 high.
Due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
We are now falling to the moon rather than rising away from Earth. It is an amazing milestone.
We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity, we're now resuming operational audio comms.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to the show. Did you love that first hour? It was amazing. Sorry. Stop it, guys. Stop laughing at me. Tech up, please. I can't look at you. Can you not pull a blind down between me and the gallery? Because just Tech up, like, exploding with laughter is not helping me concentrate. What an amazing first hour with Liz Truss. We've been sitting here during the advert break discussing how we're going to take the show to CPAC. We can have all the guest speakers of CPAC lined up on the show. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be like the best sort of conjoined gig ever. Alex, so impressed with Liz Truss. Let's hope she joins Reform and gets back in the Commons, says Margaret in Birmingham. Liz Truss is absolutely correct in all she says. Well done for having her on the programme. Had to stop what I was doing and pay full attention to her excellent and accurate diagnosis of the country's problems. Thanks, Alex, for putting valid questions to Liz Truss. Please have her on again. If Farage has any sense, he'd be getting Liz Truss on board either as an advisor or even an MP. Her depth of knowledge is amazing, and she could really help prepare reform for government. I mean, it's just... excuse me. Over and over. I can't get through all of these messages. The Liz love is real. I love her. She's great fun. She's really mischievous as well. Like, until you spend time with Liz Truss, you have no idea that she's actually one of the funniest people in all of politics. And it's just, I don't know, she's very astute, gets it, but is also just a really really good and fun human being. The right wing are more fun than the left wing, it has to be said. Apologies for starting everything. I can't even look at my breakfast now. Starting this hour in hysterics because I was literally sort of, you know, things get physiologically difficult when you have to eat during advert breaks alone, is all I'm going to say. Right, let's welcome aboard HMS Common Sense, Mr. Benedict Spence. Oh, he's not ready? Oh, well, that's no good, is it? What am I going to do now? Freestyle rap? Read messages, I suppose. I'd love your messages. That's not a hardship to me at all. I've just gone through and messed with them all on my screen. And so I don't know what I've read and what I haven't read anymore. I've read all those ones. Homework, Alex. You finally got round to the Fabians. Now check out the Dio Bandies. You will be alarmed. What are the Dio Bandies? I'm going to have to look that up. Hi, ladies. I was right behind Liz at the time. I thought something radical needs to be attempted. We were stuck in a rut and someone needed to be brave and have a vision. Problem was the establishment were too weak and happy to just carry on as it were. Who dares wins, says Ernie. I totally agree with that. But this is the thing. When you realise how convoluted the system is, that the system itself is just a quagmire of farce, that it runs itself without leadership, that it is siloed, that it is bound by legal obligations now, you kind of think, how on earth does one break it? I'm trying to think of what a good analogy would be for what the system sort of looks like, because it is so convoluted, it is so interconnected, it is so entrenched now within our politics, all of this bureaucracy, that it is, you know, real challenge thinking about how that can be dismantled. A massive political wrecking ball, which is going to require a massive majority on the right wing and the right coming together. I'm afraid that is just the truth. So we've all got to hold on to that because it is basically the 11th hour. Let's have a chit-chat with Chris, who's in Epsom. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Alex. Loved your Liz this morning.
Wasn't it fun?
Yeah. Do you know, you're absolutely right about the right. And we're not... It's not as if we're even... If you took the centrists as the middle, we're not even halfway towards being right-wing. We're just right. And you're absolutely right about everybody's going to have to hold their nose, the right of centre, and we're going to have to agree to disagree on some bits. But, as you say, it's the 11th hour and we've got to move forward. The only other person that I've heard, other than you and Liz, talking about what needs to be repealed to set this country back straight, is David Starkey, the historian. He's brilliant. But I would actually go one step further than him. I would like to go back to the British Nationality Act in 1948.
Right. Tell me more.
You know that one?
No, you're going to fill me in on the details.
Yeah, that was done without any consultation. From 1701 to 1948, if you wanted to hold high office in this country, and that means MP, judge, councillor, anything like that, both your parents had to have been born in the UK.
I agree with that. I totally agree. I don't think we should have anybody who has dual citizenship or was born abroad as anything in a public-facing institution in this country. I fully agree with that. But the thing is, the outcome of this isn't necessarily going to be the desired outcome that a lot of people have. Because, for instance, let's look at this. You will have MPs, these pro-Gaza MPs currently, elected to office whose both of their parents may well have been born in Britain, and yet they eliminate Britain. Then you might end up with someone who's like sort of a real trailblazer on the right. Can't think of an example, but there must be loads out there. Let's say someone like Douglas Carswell, who's now in America. I think his father might have been born in Zimbabwe or something. I don't know. I mean, me, for example, right? My biological father was born in Malta. So does that exclude me? Despite the fact that I'm, super right-wing. So this is the thing. When we have to think these things through, a lot of people also need to understand that a huge amount of our problems in this country come from the woke middle classes, who are as British as you can get.
Listen, I live in Epsom, which is a Lib Dem, And they came, you'll enjoy this. They came knocking at my door day before yesterday with their leaflets.
Did you hide behind the sofa?
No, did I not? I went out and challenged them. I asked them how they could possibly vote for a man that knew all about the Horizon scandal but has run away from it, that believes a woman can have a penis, and spent his whole electoral campaign jumping in and out of water off of different things and running around on a hobby horse. And they just stood their mouths open. They couldn't even answer me.
Well, no, this is the thing, because what I would say this is the Liberal Democrats aren't a political party. They're a Tupperware party. They don't have politics. It's the absence of politics. I now live in a Lib Dem area, and the reason it's a Lib Dem area is because it's green and pleasant land with very few problems. People have got money in the bank. We don't have the migrant hotels. We don't have Islamism. We don't have, we've got lots of independent shops and boutiques and restaurants on the high street, which is also thriving. Our pubs aren't being shut down. It is like utopia. It's British utopia, which is why I moved there. But they all vote Lib Dem because it's the absence of politics. People who vote Lib Dem just think politics is a bit of a mucky business and it's good to be nice. And so they see Ed Davey with a knitted jumper, on a jet ski, talking about how Europe is lovely and aren't we all Europeans? And they go, yeah, that sounds about right. They don't actually critically analyse the facts.
I'm surprised they even knocked on my door, because I live in a beautiful street, big trees down there, lovely neighbours from all over. My parents have owned this house 55 years. But I have a 25-foot flagpole that's currently flying the flag of St George.
Hey, that's my boy. There you go. Chris, thank you ever so much for your call. I'm glad to see we've got a lot of calls potentially coming in, because we seem to have lost Benedict Spence. He's gone AWOL. But that's OK, because we can talk to some of you instead. In fact, you might be a bit of an upgrade. I would fancy that. 03444 991,000 is the number to call. Normal network rate and all of that. You can also send a WhatsApp message on that, or leave me a voice note on that. So many people messaging about Liz Truss still. It was just an absolutely zinging first hour. It's hard to keep up the joy, isn't it? Don't you worry, because Paul Cox is coming at 12 and Lord knows what's going to go on then. 87222 is the number to send me a text message. Write the word talk before you send your text. And after this short break, I'm going to... By the way, someone said, why did you have the extra long break? Is it so you could neck your bacon back? No. Although I do need to neck my bacon, I must say. No, it's because we're having so much fun with Liz. We dropped an advert break. We didn't want to keep interrupting the flow. And so we double-stacked them at the top. But we're not going to double-stack this one. It's going to be quick and neat and efficient. So don't you go anywhere. I'll see you in a moment.
Why have they got exclusive rights to the rainbow?
I used to think the pride flag used to look cool when it was just a rainbow, and now it looks so ugly.
But yeah, well, why have they got? Why can't we have the
brown
rainbow?
and black to a rainbow.
Why can't we have the rainbow? Why have they got to have it?
Or why don't you do planks next week wearing a rainbow jacket? Go on.
Well, yeah, I think I will. I think I will. Let's move on.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to the show. Loads of messages coming through about Liz Truss. I blimmin' enjoyed that first hour. Oh, look, I've known Liz for ages. In fact, last year we went to Trump's inauguration together. So we didn't go to the actual inauguration because that was pretty much cancelled because it was minus 15 degrees. And she had really bad flu. And by the end of the trip, so did I. And I basically still have that flu now. But I don't hold it against her. These things happen. My wife and I watched you and Liz Truss, have learnt so much by listening to Liz. Could never imagine so much needs changing legally by incoming new government. Tough times ahead for whoever. Great show, keep up the good work from Dave and Angie. This is it. When you fully understand, and a lot of people, so, you know, I've decided to one foot out on social media. I came off it for Lent and it was so good. I was like, well, really, do I have to go back on it? But I still read a lot of stuff on there. Useful source of news and commentary. There are people I follow who I just can't get access to that sort of material anywhere else. But it means I also look at some of the dreck being spoken on social media. And there are far too many people out there who have just an emotional connection to politics and will hang on to a simple line like, millions must go. And it's like, but you don't understand the execution. You don't know how to win an election. You don't know how this was going to be executed if you come into government, or the legal hurdles, or the barriers, or the obstacles. It isn't so simple as just saying, millions have to go, done, way, vote for me. First of all, you've got to get over 30% of the vote. OK, let me make this clear. You've got to get over 30% of the vote if you're going to, under first past the post, get a massive majority. And that means you've got to appeal to the broadest possible range of people. If you don't do that before an election, it's toast anyway. For all the will in the world, however puritanical and idealistic you want a political party to be, it ain't going to get 30% if it does that. Now what you've got to do is, once you get into power, you've got to understand the system, as Liz was saying. Otherwise, you're just going to be gobbled up by it that quickly. It's astonishing what happened to her when the government sold off the Bank of England sold off government gilts on the cheap just before her mini budget, and still to this day people don't know that. They don't know because they just swallow everything they hear. Anyway, fascinating interview. We're definitely going to have her back. Because of Liz, I understand the system somewhat more. Many thanks, Liz, says Vinny. Looking good today, Alex. Thank you. I love this Talk TV. Keep it up. Love for you, Alex, and James and Peter, but I love you too, James. Alex, what Liz Truss is saying is we don't have a functional democracy. We barely have a democracy. We're not voting people in who can make decisions. We're voting in smoke and mirrors while Whitehall and all the quangocracy runs itself. And then when we do actually have a vote, which does point to a direction of travel, thinking about that 2016 referendum, they choose whether they want to listen or not. Let's do a call now. Let's speak to David in Exeter. Hello there, David.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for the lead in there with the dysfunctional constitutional monarchy system that we've got.
Constipational, more like.
Well, something like that. I mean, people think we live in a full democracy. We don't live in a full democracy. We live in a constitutional monarchy. And I think what Liz was, I was very interested in what she had to say all through that, was that the system wasn't working. So I agree with her on that. But as we're looking at this, you know, the 100 years of socialism gradually slicing it away, so it doesn't work, and we are where we are. But my question was going to be, Alex, to Liz. I want to know what her sort of policy and thoughts are on defence, on UK national defence security, the war in Europe and the war now in the Middle East, etc. I don't hear her talk a lot about defence and security, and I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, where she sits with all of this because of the current drive from both Kemi Badenoch and the Lib Dems on wanting an all-party coalition to rearm. So I'd like to know where she is with all of this.
Well, I can't ask her. She's not with us anymore. She is with us. She's not with it, not in the talk towers anymore. So I actually can't ask her directly that. But the things that she did say in the first act, I don't want to put words in her mouth, so let's paraphrase the sort of things that she has said. She speaks about the denigration of the armed forces. She is also, she spoke about how ridiculous Europe's position has been on a lot of things geopolitically, buying gas from Putin all this while, and then suddenly there's a crisis. What do you do? The fact that we're run by all these sort of international treaties preventing us from making very sane and important domestic legislation, be it on energy security or protecting our borders. And I'm fairly certain when it comes, we spoke during the adverts about this, because I did ask her about foreign policy Donald Trump, and I said, should we have gone in there with him? And she said, well, would we even have had the capability to do so? But she said, of course we should have let America use their air bases from the get-go. So I can't, answer your question any more than that, because it'd be unjust for me to do so.
Yeah. I think that's very, what you said there is very fair. I think that the standout bits are really that, what could we have done? There's very little that's actually serviceable. And our military chiefs, and this is what people have got to understand, are no longer and haven't been in charge of our military for over a decade. The civil service is in charge of our military.
Oh, blimey, I was reading all about how the FCDO works the other day, and people were saying, it sounds like what Liz is saying, just all these different committees of people who've not been in the armed forces, who make decisions. They're legally binding, they're the wrong decisions. What we need as well, before I let you go, David, because Benedict's with us now, what we need, in my opinion, is geopolitics should be the rich theme that goes throughout Whitehall. It's all very well having a Department of Defence or a Foreign Office, but all the decisions we make are critical when it comes to geopolitical positioning. Our energy policy, our trade policy, what money we give to various countries, who we sell our weapons to, food security, it goes all the way down to DEFRA. Being a self-sufficient, sustained nation with a very real critical eye on the geopolitical makeup of the world should be the dictating umbrella policy of all departments.
I agree. I've got one last question for you and Benedict now, is there?
All right.
What is Keir Starmer actually currently defending right here and right now? What's he defending?
Well, let's ask Benedict that. Let's ask him that.
Energy, our food.
Well, exactly. I know it's just, exactly.
Apart from Mandelson.
David, great to hear from you. Let's put that to Benedict Spence. Benedict, there you are. Where have you been, lad?
I've been struggling manfully with the wonders of modern technology. The microphone wasn't working. Say from that what you will.
Well, glad you're here now. Microphone's working. Looking a bit like Zelensky, actually, in your black jumper. What is Keir Starmer defending? Very good question from David. I think we can just say nothing, right?
I was going to say, I look like Zelensky because I'm constantly being told by the British government, sotto voce, that I might be conscripted any day now, because sort of now we have to be on a war footing. What is Keir Starmer actually defending? What is he protecting? It's difficult to say. Maybe his own position, maybe that of a few people around him. I'd say he's defending Ed Miliband. Somehow he's managed to sort of preserve him from any and all scrutiny, so that we sort of, despite everything else that's going on, we continue down the path gainfully towards net zero. Quite why? Nobody's sure, but that seems to have been protected. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine, to be honest.
Now, what I love to ask you, because you're just really hot on this stuff, is I want to do a little bit of a run with you now on what is going on in Iran. Because, someone said it should be, was it Schrodinger's Strait or something? It's both open and closed at the same time. To me, my take on this is that Donald Trump's trying everything in his power to get that strait open without having to send in ground troops, because he don't want bodies coming back in body bags. Iran, who knows who's actually making the decisions, whether or not there's any communication between any of them, if they're just playing, silly sausages, want of a better phrase. and goading America into a false sense of security while still trying to create as much havoc and chaos as possible. What's your take on this? I mean, Trump has apparently sent a 4-word warning to Iran. Could bombing take place again?
My take on this is, first and foremost, that it's not simply an agreement between two parties. It's an agreement between 4 parties, and even within that, there are multiple different factions that may or may not agree with everybody on their own team as to whether or not they should proceed with a certain policy. So it's not just the United States and Iran, it's the many different aspects of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the conventional military and what's left of the government, plus Israel, plus Hezbollah. So when you look at it in those terms, a ceasefire is always going to be very difficult actually to maintain. And when you've got the situation then when the United States has decided that it's going to try and call Iran's bluff when it comes to them blockading the Iranian oil exports, that counterintuitively actually makes everybody just that little bit jumpier, because it's not what anybody expected. Well, certainly it's not what the Iranians expected, which vice versa, the Americans say that they didn't expect that the Iranians were going to close the strait in the first place. So there's a lot, I think, of back and forth here of trying to bluff and double bluff everybody. And the problem is, of course, with that, it doesn't take an awful lot then for miscommunication, for mistakes to be made, and for things to go wrong. The reality here is, though, that if we think about it in these terms, cutting off fossil fuel supplies from this region is as close to a WMD as it's possible to get without using an actual WMD in terms of the actual economic and therefore social damage that it causes, both to the US and Iran. These are two countries that are at war. We shouldn't be surprised that they continue to do this because they wish to undermine and weaken the other. But that is the question here. Iran's situation is civilizational, if you like. That's why they were prepared to start bombing so quickly and firing off against things in the strait and to close the strait, because they don't have any other sources of income. The United States, on the other hand, has been playing a pretty clever, frankly, very ruthless game over the last couple of months of diversifying where it can get its fossil fuel supplies from and controlling other people. Now, that's Venezuela, that's Panama, that's the Straits of Malacca. They've just signed a deal with Morocco as well that's going to give them a lot of oversight over access to the Mediterranean. And, of course, then there's the Israeli-backed operations in Somaliland as well, and that's to try and give a bit of a foothold in the Red Sea, which, of course, up until now is being menaced by the Houthis. So you can see it's all part of a broader effort by the United States to basically be able to turn round to an adversary, be it Iran or be it China, and say, well, you can play this game if you want, but we have other means of making our cash. Whereas the Iranians, in this case, they've only got one play here.
Yeah, but what about the Europeans? Because, of course, America's got drill, baby, drill. They're not really the ones who've been importing oil and gas from the Middle East. It's us. We've needed that stuff because we've got terrible energy policy in the first place. I don't, agree with this whole idea of people like Rachel who's going, well, it's all because of Trump of this problem. No, you're a government. You're supposed to make us self-sufficient. We're supposed to be able to sustain ourselves in a moment of crisis because, regardless of who the belligerent may or may not be perceived to be, you can't have your country's economy and energy supply just left at the whim of events. And yet that is what's happened. And so we had this extraordinary meeting in Paris between Macron and Starmer, where they seem to be turning around and go, we're going to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm like, what warship? I mean, HMS Dragon? Is that sorted out now? Like, what's going on? I don't understand this play at all. Can you help unpick it for us?
I mean, the problem is, and we do have to go all the way back to Trump's first term in office, where he turned around and he started, mouthing off against NATO and against European energy policy, basically. The Europeans, and this does include us, have had ample warning that these things were going to happen ultimately. And I have to say, I think a lot of people are sort of stuck in Europe in an mindset, which is that nothing ever happens and everything can sort of stay the same in stasis. But, of course, to quote, Giuseppe di Lampedusa, in The Leopard, for things to stay the same, everything must change. That's ultimately how you maintain your civilization, is by being proactive rather than sitting and waiting for things to happen. Now, that's the position that Europe finds itself in, where, as you say, because it raced in a direction towards renewable energy, some more successfully than others, those countries that didn't do it very successfully had to prop themselves up by importing gas, especially from Qatar. This is ultimately why Trump has been talking at great length about the United Kingdom needing to get back to drill in the North Sea, but also things like fracking. He's not just doing it out of a sense of goodwill and benevolence to the United Kingdom. He's also doing it because he's also made clear the United States does not want to be defending Europe. It doesn't want to be propping up Europe from Russia. It has to be Europe's priority if NATO is going to survive, because the United States has other things to do elsewhere. The problem is Europe simply hasn't listened. It's not woken up. And the only thing it really feels that it needs to do is use this as an opportunity to twist the rules within Europe itself, and the UK, by extension, to use this as an opportunity to try and begin the process of greater alignment with Europe. These people are still looking at everything as a sort of a procedural hurdle to be overcome by more European bureaucracy, not by simply drilling more energy and building more weapons.
I couldn't have put it better myself, and that's why we have you on, Benedict. Thank you ever so much. Good, we finally got him in the end, didn't we? From his bunker. Starmer, careful choice of words, never told about it, never denied. He wasn't informed by other means. He is as slippery as silk. Well, interesting message, yes, but actually, listening to what Liz Truss said, and she's been in that position, she's been Prime Minister, and when she said, I don't think he did know. I don't think he was told, because actually it would have been illegal to tell him, and that actually maybe what he's saying is correct, that this system is ridiculous. Yes, he made the political choice to push Mandelson to be ambassador first, but was that his choice? Or was he pushed in to making that choice? Because maybe Mandelson is one rung up the Labour Party ladder than he is. Dan from Kent, there's two constitutional changes that were changed because of what happened in Germany in the 1940s, not to be repeated, that are totally out of date in modern Britain. One is what Chris from Epsom said about nationality and high office, and the other is the first past the post system. Another one as well could be the way that we look at refugee crises through the eyes of international law, understood when those refugees were fleeing Nazi Germany and were culturally very similar. Very different state of play when those outdated laws and treaties are now enabling people to game the system and flood our country from Lord knows where with Lord knows what intention. Right, OK, let's take a short break. On the other side, we're joined by the excellent Mike Neville, former Met Police DCI. Going to be talking about, well, onwards goes the barrage of crime that is just sweeping across the country, more and more ingenious ways of, you know, ne'er-do-wells robbing everybody, committing crimes, getting away with it, no doubt, and we're all the worse off as a result. We'll be giving you the latest horror stories just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
What is going on now? You just sort of think, yeah, we live in a crime-ridden world where ne'er-do-wells are just brazen in their activities. Brazen. Now get this. In The Sun on Sunday, there's a shocking video which shows shoplifters stealing sacks of food, including 2 entire legs of lamb, hiding it under their robes in an Iceland store. The security guard confronts these 3 women pushing prams. The first woman reveals she has a whole sack of stolen goods under her abaya, flowing robes worn by Muslims to maintain modesty. Maintain modesty? Maintain blimmin' nicked goods. She proceeds to pull out more than a dozen stolen items, 2 legs of lamb, washing up liquid and detergent. The next 2 women do the same. Similar hauls of stolen supermarket goods, secretly hidden in sacks concealed under their big dresses. Barbecue beef racks, ice cream, detergent, Nutella spread. Security at the supermarket in East London called the police. Guess what? Guess what? They didn't go. Didn't turn up. Let's speak to Mike Neville now. I mean, I've got to be really careful what I say here, Mike. But I doubt that this is a mad one-off incident. I reckon there are certain people who know full well they can game the system, and they can game the system by essentially playing the race card. And whether that be women in Muslim clothing using their dress to hide stuff, knowing that people will also be scared to confront them, or quite frankly, when we saw these mass coordinated raids on Clapham High Street organised by social media and WhatsApp groups or Snapchat, whatever it was, and some of the messages were released to the press where people had infiltrated them, a lot of them were saying, yeah, if anyone comes after you, just say they're racist. Why did the police not turn up to that?
Well, it's truly shocking, isn't it? Isn't, Alex? I mean, they stole over £320 worth of goods. The Met Business Crime Chief Inspector was saying that the businesses are blamed for not providing evidence. But, well, how much evidence do you need of crime? 320 quid. And I remember, as you say, you know, these people, they come to this country. I remember there's a TV show from the about 20 years ago called Karachi Cops. I can just imagine what the Karachi Cops would have done, and it's on YouTube if you want to see it, would have done if they'd have seen this. But I think the key thing is here, Alex, it's not just a nationality thing or anything else. It's the fact that people can just take the mickey, that you can steal all those goods and simply get away with it. A Labour spokesman said, that people should feel the full force of the law. Well, what is the full force of the law? Caution, because they've got rid of the 12-month sentences. You can't go to jail for 12 months now. So it's a complete waste of time. You know, the shopkeepers are wasting their time. The best they can hope for is to get the stuff back. But you know what the big problem is in society, when obeying the rules, paying for your goods, paying for your petrol, paying for whatever, is the stupid option, then the society breaks down, really, because people are going to see this and think, do you know what, I fancy a leg of lamb for my Sunday dinner as well.
But this is the thing, right? So I'm very sympathetic to what the Iceland Foods Executive Chairman said April 2026, this month. And this is, of course, we're talking about this incident with women hiding legs of lamb et al. Under their abayas, was in Iceland. He's called for UK shop security guards to be equipped with pepper spray and truncheons. He's argued that shoplifting has escalated to violent crime, requiring stronger non-mess-about deterrents similar to those used in Spain. I mean, I'm actually at the point that I back him. I don't see why people should be able to nick stuff and then just walk out, and security guards are terrified to face them because they're worried they might be physically abused. But worse than that, most people are afraid to face people down because they worry that their own careers are on the line. If someone turns around and goes, oh, sorry, that was racist. We need to get real. But I think part of that getting real is enabling people whose job is to protect against crime to be armed to do so. Do you think that is however, a dangerous idea? That it's one thing if police carry pepper spray and truncheons, but when it's given to essentially civilians, regardless of their job, that it could end up in a bit of a mess.
Well, we saw, didn't we, at Waitrose, the poor man there sacked for trying to stop a shoplift. Yeah. This is how ridiculous it's got. So we've gone from one extreme to the other. One extreme is just let them walk out the shop, just let them go, and this is the extreme we're at now. So people know that, thieves know that. One sign of violence and the shopkeeper let them go. So we've got to do something else. At the very least, I've seen his security staff who couldn't stop a fly. And I was in Brixton, there's two massive black guys there. You wouldn't want to be shoplifting if they were, going to grab hold of you. So let's be real. First thing is let's employ people who are quite intimidating, like you do at a nightclub, who no one is going to mess around with. And if it's a question of, well, we've got to arm them with something, well, then if people have done a proper training course, and lots of security staff, most of the security staff are very highly professionalised and whatever else, but one, they need a physical presence, but we need to do something, because we cannot carry on like this, where society is literally breaking down because everybody can do what they want, and it's a free go for everybody. That's just simply not good enough.
I mean, it comes down to, you talked earlier about not paying for petrol, but this is now becoming increasingly a regular experience. Bilking, apparently, is a regular occurrence. I didn't know the word bilking before. Yeah. My uncle's nickname is Bilk, after Sergeant Bilker.
Making off without payment is the proper phrase. Making off without payment.
But yeah, people driving in, filling their car with petrol, messing about and then driving off. But not only that, they've got people who turn up and stealing fuel to order, filling up things like Coca-Cola bottles. Instead, to then no doubt sell on the black market or give to their mates or whatever. But also, I'm pretty sure when I lived in London, right, I don't know if it's true or not, because you can never get hold of any CCTV because of data protection. But when I used to live in London and my car was parked on my street, there was, and all the Uber drivers used to come and park in and around my street. I swear, there were way too many times I got in my car ready to go, and I was like, why don't I have petrol? I have not driven in the last 3 weeks. And I'm pretty sure that they were that during the night, I wouldn't be surprised if Uber drivers have been siphoning off. I don't know if they're Uber drivers or whatnot, but some of these late night private hire firms, whether or not they've been siphoning off my petrol.
Well, this petrol's become like the new gold, hasn't it? The value of the stuff. And what you have, though, again, you have the garages they've invested in, ANPR, the automatic number plate readers thing. They've got loads of CCTV. They've got loads of security devices. But these things are worthless if you inform the police that, vehicle registration XYZ has driven off with all this petrol, and then nothing's done about it. And again, what does it say to the man or woman who's working hard? You fill up your car, it's gone up by 60 quid, it's costing you best part of 200 notes to fill up a car, and then the person next to you just drives off and they take the option of not paying, and there's no consequences to their actions. This is the real big danger of all this, and we've got to crack down. It's like that theory, if you allow a broken window, then you allow the building to sort of fall apart. We've got to get a grip on this crime, and this government, that both Tory and Labour have been bad at this. The Tories cutting the police, and then this Labour government, cutting sentences. This no 12-month sentence. This is absolutely removing any sort of deterrent that there was to commit crime, because these thieves, they laugh at these community sentences.
They know what they're doing, and a lot of them are usually operated by foreign criminal gangs. I just think that is the truth. I'm not saying that they aren't also being crimes that are also being perpetrated by Brits, but there's a lot of criminal gangs that come over to the UK because they know we're such light touch. I was talking to my old neighbours about this last night. We still hang out together when I'm down in London, and they were saying that what drives them mad is you end up, because of traffic, somehow being in a yellow box, and you're given a massive fine, and the camera's got you doing that, and I literally couldn't have helped it. I was having to move out of the way because of an ambulance or whatever. And I was reading that something like 2 million drivers are set to lose their licences because of 12 points and 20 mile per hour zones, which are a nightmare. You cannot make a car go that slowly consistently with a modern engine. An engine can, you just can't do it. And we were talking about this, and we were discussing the amount of people who have fake plates on now. They all know how to have these special embossed license plates that don't get picked up by cameras. And all those kids on the scooters with the L plates on, who clearly don't even have a driving licence, have turned up and they're zipping around at 60 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic. Nothing's being done to them, but ordinary motorists who's trying, self-flagellating, to try and make sure they don't break a rule, which often I think leads to dangerous driving. If you're there glued to your speedometer because you're like, oh my God, if I go like anything more than 3 miles per hour over this, I'm going to be done for. You're not paying attention to the road. You're not aware of oncoming hazards. It is a mockery, quite frankly. I just don't, you know, what on earth should we be, how do we get around this?
Somehow we've got to change, haven't we? Because at the moment it seems like half the population is paying for the other half of the population. Whether it's because we pay for our goods and pay all the extra taxes on that, or we get fined for ridiculous things, like you said, yellow box junctions and 2 miles over the 20-mile limit. Half the country is paying for the other half who pay nothing. Yeah. And somehow we've got to change this around. It's absolute lunacy. And people, what they're thinking is why am I bothering? Why do I bother getting up to work in the morning? Why do I bother paying all this? And then I just see people around me just taking the absolute mickey out of the whole system and walking away and with no consequences. As I said at the very start, this idea of the full force of the law, what's the full force of the law? It's an absolute, it's like being hit by a feather duster, a load of old nonsense. But somehow we need to reset to common sense values like we used to have in this country. People don't obey the law generally because the police are going to get you. They obey the law because it's like you fit into a community, everybody works together. You don't want to see, a mess. You don't want to see a mess. So you don't throw litter on the floor because it's not a crime. You don't throw litter on the floor, you don't want a mess. But we've too many people in this country these days, they just float every law that there is and they do nothing. But me and you, because we pay our taxes and we register our car, they know where we are and they can come and get us and take money off us.
But it's worse than that. It's worse than that, isn't it? It's not just that we're paying for the other half of the country who are taking the mickey. In some respects, when it comes to the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit, and I hate that thing. I hate it. It is wicked. Because the way I see it is you're not just, because it's such an easy catch-all, because you can barely help breaking that speed limit, that they're using it as a cash cow, but it comes with a criminal prosecution. So we're basically criminalising, treating the good guys as criminals to get the money to paper over where the bad guys are not paying road tax or not being able to be caught by cameras because they got these dodgy number plates on or whatever it may be.
And the other thing, Alex, of course, when they fine you for speeding, they take into account your wages. So the more you earn, the more they take off you. So the harder you work, the more you're punished. And this is a massive problem in this country. We're just targeting the wrong people. That we've got a Labour government who sees all the idlers, the scroungers, the illegal immigrants as some kind of victims of society. And they see me, you, and the rest of the listeners and viewers who are working hard as a sort of mugs to pay for it, that we are the oppressors of society or whatever else, or are we just fools that just see us as idiots? But all these every time we have crime stories on here, it's about people who just do not care, they know there's no consequence to their action, and they're just absolutely brazen. In times past, the shopkeeper, at least these shoplifters tried to hide the stuff, the women at the start. Nowadays, they're going in there, filling a basket and walking out with it. So I suppose you give them some credit for trying to actually hide and pretend they weren't doing anything bad. We just see brazen thieving, and all the time, you think 320 quid, that is like 3 days' wages for somebody who works in that shop.
What do you think happened to those women? I bet nothing. If the police didn't turn up, nothing happened. And they'll just try it again in a different shop, no doubt.
Alex, that is not the first time they've done it. They've done it 100 times.
They know what they're doing.
If you think that only 1% of thefts gets prosecuted, that means you can do it 99 times on average before you're ever caught. So that's 99 times £320 at least that they've had away with.
I am so incensed about this. I worry what I would do if I came face to face with those three women. If I was, walking around a supermarket and I saw them stuffing things up their abayas, I don't know if I'd be able to restrain myself, quite frankly. Rip the abayas off them and it drives me mad. I got no words. It's horrific. Mike, thank you ever so much. Mike Neville, former Met Police DCI there. Mike, do you want to have a chit-chat with me before Weird Hour? We've got Paul Cox coming in at 12 o'clock. I cannot wait. It's going to be unchanged. Oh, yeah, we've got Mark Dolan coming in as well, because he's always still loitering around these parts. And so we're like, listen, mate, if you're going to stay sniffing around Talk Towers, don't be surprised if we lasso you and drag your wiry frame into a chair in the studio with Paul Cox. More the merrier, am I right? That is coming up at midday. I actually cannot wait. I'm itching for this one. We've been furnishing our little... We've got a weird WhatsApp group where we look for the weird and we share it with one another. And so we've got a lot to... there, Ratty is waving bits of paper at me. We've got a lot to look forward to. It's going to be deeply enjoyable. But before that, do you want to come and keep me company before I get the joys of Dolan and Cox? I think you do. 03444991000 is the number to call us your normal network rate. You can also send me a WhatsApp or leave me a voice note on that. 8722 is the number if you'd like to send a text like talk before your message. Can we get rid of 20 mile per hour, please? Right, having a break. See you in a moment.
Why have they got exclusive rights to the rainbow?
I used to think the pride flag used to look cool when it was just a rainbow, and now it looks so ugly.
But yeah, well, why have they got
why
can't we have the
brown and
rainbow?
black to a rainbow?
Why can't we have the rainbow? Why have they got to have it?
Or why don't you do planks next week wearing a rainbow jacket? Go on.
Well, yeah, I think I will. I think I will. Let's move on.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. OK, let's... Oh, guys, I've got the Weird Hour fodder here, and it's really odd. I'm very excited for 12 o'clock. Anyway, not as excited as I am to be speaking to Justin in Sheffield. I love Justin. I don't know if I've ever spoken to Justin before. Hi, Justin.
Right there. I was driving back from a walk, and I turned on your show, and I was listening to Liz Truss. I didn't know who it was, actually. For most of it, I thought, oh, she's speaking a lot of sense. I agree with a lot of what she says. Right, oh, yeah, perhaps she isn't so bad after all. I then went home and I checked up how she voted when it came to COVID passes in December 21, and she voted in favour. And suddenly I wasn't so keen.
Do you know what? I always think this sort of retrospective, judgment isn't always fair. People come after me on this, when it comes to vaccines and COVID, because the first 3 months of COVID itself, I was all for the idea that we were ahead of the rest of the world in creating vaccines, the first country to put vaccines in arms. I thought this was brilliant because I didn't know then what I know now. And it's the same as well with the way that COVID initially was being handled, because we didn't know what we were dealing with. If anyone sits and goes, I knew from the start, I knew it was all rubbish, I knew it was just a common cold. No one did.
No.
And I can forgive a lot of political decisions taken around the time of a novel virus where people were over precautious. I find it a lot harder to forgive the more information we had, and when we saw how it was affecting especially young people, keeping schools closed, but then there were all these pressures from unions, so on and so forth. It was a very difficult period to navigate, which is why I'm always I'm never a big fan, because also the other thing is I do believe people can politically change as well. I think that it is possible that for once upon a time someone to have voted the Labour Party and then gone, I'm never going to vote for them again, I'm going to vote Reform. And that's actually, if you are on the right, that is a desirable outcome. To persuade leftists to become right-wing is kind of, what we politically evangelise for. And so that being the case, I also think it's more than okay, therefore, if a politician says, I got this wrong, and actually I would do things differently now, that we should give them the benefit of the doubt, which is why I'm always a little bit against sort of going back historically, combing through voting records. Because I know Liz super well, and I know she's a massive freedom lover.
Well, what I would say about all that is that way back in March 2020, before they even brought in all this COVID madness, they knew that over 99% of people were surviving, A, and B, who was at risk and who wasn't, and most people weren't at risk. And so I'm sorry. Since COVID, I have gone on a huge political journey from being centre progressive to conservative. I'm a libertarian because it opened my eyes to what is happening.
Right, so this is it. This is what I'm saying. A lot of people have gone on lots of political journeys and have, maybe look back at what they've done previously in politics and think, I actually didn't know, I wasn't informed enough and I got that wrong. I think that is more than acceptable. But I'm still, I was working at the time. I'd been an MEP and then I was writing for The Telegraph at the time, and I was madly researching COVID in all ways, shapes and forms. I was actually the first journalist, by the way, to establish that loss of taste and smell was the key indicator before anybody else was talking about it. I wrote a big article on it, and even then it took 6 months for the government to actually even list that amongst the systems. And I knew it because I had COVID in the February. Before the March. I didn't even know it was COVID at the time because I didn't have a continuous cough. I had a bit of a blocked up nose, feeling dreadful, like a long-term hangover, but I mainly couldn't taste or smell anything. And this was way before the UK lockdown. I was still living in Belgium at the time. And actually, because I then had it, and I went to hospital to be blood tested to make sure it was what I thought. And I was like, right, I started doing lots of research, looking at countries around the world. And the only other country who was gathering this information on loss of taste and smell was South Korea, the only other country. So when people now go retrospectively, well, I just think, I was deep in trying to research everything properly, and it was a maelstrom out there. I can forgive a lot of the stuff that happened in the first 3 months. It's when things after, 6 months, 8 months, a year were getting more and more farcical, and that nudge unit was really seeing how far they could push the population.
Exactly.
I thought things got very, very sinister indeed. I'm not I've got to go because I've got another call to take, and I don't want to have this sort of turn this into a COVID half hour. I've got to stick to my times, but. Look, there's a huge discussion to be had there, and sadly, this fake news inquiry we're having isn't even touching the sides. Thank you so much for your call, Justin. Let's speak now to Joan in Sunderland. Hello, Joan.
Hello. I was listening to you talking to, is it Mike Neville?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I am in despair at what this country's turning into. Nothing works. Right is wrong, up is down. And about the shoplifting thing, the police can turn up for hurty words. You can get 12 police officers turning up to arrest someone, that woman feeding a pigeon, and you get Khan being escorted across the road by 6 police officers every time. And it just really gets me. What are the police there for? And what are we teaching our young people? It's going to be a case in the future that if you want something, you don't have to worry about if you have the money to pay for it. You just go in and help yourself. My daughter and I were shopping in Tesco's about 3 weeks ago, and we were following these two characters. They were filling a trolley, not a shopping trolley, their own trolley.
Yeah.
They didn't have a scanner. When that trolley was full, they started to fill a carrier bag.
Yeah.
So I was watching them. My daughter went to the security officers and said, look, and she was telling them, she says, I'm telling you now, if they don't pay for their things, I'm not paying for mine. Anyhow, eventually there was a security officer came and followed them around, and they did actually follow them, and they went through the checkout and they paid for them. I am sick of watching people just pick things up.
Me too. Me too.
You go in B&M, there was the trays of Lurpak butter, the big ones, £7.
Do you know what we need to bring back? Do you know when I was at school, I think there was this whole thing that if you saw someone nicking something, you had to shout, "Stop, thief!" I think that's what we should do. Anyway, Joan, I've got to let you go because we've got to go to an advert break without any further ado. But don't you worry, because just on the other side of this, Paul Cox is going to be shuffling into the studio. He's going to be sitting there and we're going to be going through this marvellous, magical mystery tour of media. Oh, and Mark Donan's going to be here as well. I can't wait. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a moment.
My fellow Americans, let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. The integrity, AMT hot.
Due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
We are now falling to the moon rather than rising away from Earth. It is an amazing milestone.
We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity will now resuming operational audio contact.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I hear from my sources that apparently Weird Hour has a jingle.
This is Talk. With all the bad news in the world, it's been decided that we should amaze and amuse you. Therefore, the following hour is weird. Audience discretion recommended.
There as well. I love it. Can I just say, round of applause to Tech Up.
Yes, Tech Up.
Woohoo! Mark doesn't like it.
Well, I'm
Mark's
happy
face
because I
says
can
no.
quite clearly see the budget for my show's gone on the Weird Hour.
What, 0 pence?
Yeah. No wonder I've got such a terrible team. I'm like struggling with people like Dean Spencer and Phil Davis. It's been a nightmare.
Dean Spencer, terrible man, absolutely.
Dean Spencer, the liver, as he's affectionately known.
Can I just say, by the way, he's doing very well in his alcohol recovery. He's not had a drink in 7 hours.
7 hours. Well done, Dean.
It's not bad. Go on, get in there, Dean. Did you know that one day that we'd been out drinking, me and Samara and Dean, and we'd all piled back to Samara's house, and I kid you not, because he was like, yeah, son, yeah, I'm not having the drinks, yeah, you're being weak. What, you become left? You've gone all woke, you're not having a drink anymore. That's always his patter, isn't it? 1 o'clock in the morning, I was there, elbow deep in his vomit, trying to unblock Samara's sink because he had.
I think that's an email to HR.
That is, yes, terrible.
Yeah.
What, against me or Dean?
All of you. Get everyone in.
The whole of the station gone.
Yeah, that's it. I love the fact you're saying that sort of miscreancy is ultimately down to alcohol. Like explain this show.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot these days, so I can't blame it on that at all.
And why don't you drink a lot?
There wasn't an incident. He looked to it. Well, it's because of the
you're
murders.
not teetotal though. It's just you're not a lunatic.
In the end of 2024.
Oh, well, how many units?
I stopped for 11 months.
Why?
There were no offences, no murders or anything.
Any mental health issues?
I just because of the work I do, travelling in the car all the time, I just stopped. I kept getting pulled over.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, I know.
Lucky you.
Do they still breathalyse these days? I kind of feel like that's gone out of fashion.
I never got pulled over till I worked in the evening, so now they just pull me over all the time. I'm never drunk, and then I'll tell them what I do, and they send me on my way.
Do you just look the type?
Yeah, I think I do. I think it's naked from the waist down that puts them off. But it's my car, Alex. I do what I like.
I will say it's finally frowned upon to drink and drive, but I grew up in an era where it was like, did you hear about Steve? He got done, poor bloke. He'd only had 12 gin and tonics.
I know, he's just minding his own business, communicating with the farmers' fields.
By the way, this is lovely. The first ever time I ever did TV was with Mark Dolan. Ever.
And it was the last.
And it wasn't. He said to me, do you know what, I think you're going to be all right at this.
I feel like one of my first times was with you as well.
People always have a good first time with me.
You just take people's TV virginity, don't you?
The problem you've got is they never come back a second time. I don't know why.
You just don't want to spoil the first experience, Mark.
By the way, so you're teetotal, right? What if Starmer
No, he's not. Don't say that, because then...
Alex is really worried I am. Oh, my God, we can't be friends.
Do you think maybe that if Starmer clings onto power, you might resume your drinking career?
Yeah, imagine. I think he will, by the way. I know this is weird, Al, but let's do politics. Let's do it just for a second. I think he absolutely will hang on. Just because at this week, the guy can navigate the system. There's always enough plausible deniability. I think he's in there by some dastardly Illuminati.
Can I just say, Chris just shouted in my ear, this isn't weird enough. Next time, Chris, you've got to put the mic up and just announce it in the studio.
Do you want a quick bit of Diane Abbott-style mathematics? So Starmer's been Prime Minister for around 450 days.
Right.
Okay. You've just had Liz Truss in the studio. I would argue that she had a better 44 days than Starmer's had a 450 days.
Yeah. I love Liz Truss.
She certainly understood the system a lot better, didn't she? He's like, I don't know anything.
I know there was that little bump after the mini-budget. OK, there was an issue around execution, but she tried to do the right thing.
But also, she sat here and said, and she's told me this before, I know Liz super well, the Bank of England deliberately sold off government gilts on the cheap before her mini-budget. That created the shock in the markets. But it was deliberately timed so they could do this and make it look like it was her.
She's very fragrant in real life. She glows. Yeah, she glows. They say, what is it?
Chanel, is it Chanel?
Power is the aphrodisiac, isn't it? And so she's a fine figure of a woman, isn't she, Liz Truss? I didn't know how to address her. Is it Miss Truss?
Not with your eyes.
Elizabeth? Queen Elizabeth? I just went for Lizzie.
Do you fancy her?
Of course. Are you kidding?
With
her economic policies.
Why not? I'm not here to choose who people fancy.
Listen, someone with that much common sense cannot be unattractive.
I've not been asked if I fancy anyone since
I
year
love that. Who's your main celebrity crush?
Who, me?
Yeah, I want to know
who
now.
Who is it going to be? It could be Maloney. It could be...
That's good, that's strong.
Yeah, Maloney's good. I quite liked Penny Mordaunt for a while, just because she was from the area I grew up in.
And she knows how to hold a sword.
And the sword holding for me was quite something.
The wrist action was quite something.
She could hold some heavy swordage.
Do you only sort of mate within a certain sort of diameter
and
radius?
Where were you born? They're like 30 miles away. I'm like, sorry. That's going to ruin the gene pool.
The Hampshire gene pool. What's your celebrity crush?
Limey. Well, I mean, politics-wise, it's showbiz for ugly people, isn't it? You know. Oh, I mean, going back in the day, Mrs. Thatcher. I tell you who really, really does it. Google a vintage photograph of Princess Anne. Princess Anne when she was 22.
Back in the day.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's like her hairstyle's never changed.
Yeah, you got to go early Anne.
Early Anne.
Right, you're not looking for mid-career Anne or late Anne.
It's like early William. Early William, you can't say that as an adult because early William was sort of smash hits 14-year-old
If you're an Elton John fan, it's like 1970 to 75 was the golden era, right? Princess Anne, we're talking late 60s, knock yourself out.
That was the era he also pretended to be straight, wasn't it? Elton John. No, the Dolan straight years.
Yeah, that's true, by the way. Elton John in the 80s accidentally married a German woman. It happens to the best of us.
Whose mic's fallen off? Paul, your mic's fallen off. Oh, sort yourself. Oh, thank God.
Who's your celebrity crush?
Oh, everyone knows my celebrity crush. It's Jordan Bardella.
Oh,
but now he's got a princess. He's got some
probably going to be the next French president, isn't he?
Yeah, man. He's right wing. He's hot. He's French.
And you know the other great thing about him, right, is that his surname sounds like wine. Is that, can we get 2 more bottles of Bardella, please?
I know.
Because I'm not driving today. I'm getting a cab home.
Yeah, I love a bit of Bardella. I was disappointed when I saw the headline that he's got some princess girlfriend because I had designs on being the next First Lady of France. I thought I'd do that well.
I wouldn't rule it out.
I wouldn't rule it out. I can speak French.
You could be a home wrecker.
And they don't mind that sort of thing in France,
I wouldn't be a home wrecker. I'm a Christian. I'm not wrecking homes around these parts. That home can wreck itself, and then I'll swoop on it.
What goes on in France stays in France.
I was watching actually the Napoleon film last night, the Ridley cut.
I love how you relax in the evening. Just the great dictators.
Everyone
else is watching Call the Midwife, and she's like, okay, this is Hitler, the early years.
Genghis Khan in colour.
Actually, I want to know more about Genghis Khan ever since I learned he had a pet gerbil.
Well, we're all related, aren't we? To Genghis Khan.
We had this conversation before.
You and I.
I always got... Why...
Well, I
don't have a conversation with everyone being related to Genghis Khan, because this is not the first time I've had this conversation this week.
It's a common denominator in the ancestry, going right the way back, because he was a man of vigorous friendship. I don't know what to say at the time.
Did he have a big libido?
Yeah,
he was a fan of procreation.
Well, I think he was forced a lot of it. I mean, I think he was like, it was a pretty powerful guy. You just made love to him.
Is that it? Okay, well, good luck being next to the judge. It's interesting talking about the dictators and their love lives, because when I was at school, I learnt very little.
Didn't know that's what we're doing today, but this is weird hour, so let's go.
Well, basically, when I was at school, and I didn't learn too much, as is evidenced by my radio and TV
output.
I won't hear it.
Okay?
Simply won't hear it. All I do is surround myself with great guests. But here's one thing I did learn at school. My history teacher, that Benito Mussolini... apparently his big thing was he was not discerning about ladies. So he could take a plain lady or a beautiful lady. It mattered not a whit. A woman was a woman, which I think makes him a feminist.
I think it just makes him Italian.
Yeah, probably does.
Berlusconi-esque.
I will tell you, and this is a family show, and also we're very respectful towards the opposite gender. But he did use the word heifer in the context of explaining the sort of girls that sometimes Mussolini was attracted to.
Do you know what, though?
Larger than life. Bubbly is the official term, isn't it? Oh, she's got
good
bubbly personality.
No, the other one is lovely eyes.
Oh, is it?
I had a girlfriend once, so you got lovely eyes. She said, what, you calling me ugly? And it was she explained that if you specifically refer to one part of a woman's body, you're saying she's ugly, because it's like, she's like, am I attractive? And like, you've got great ears. They don't like that.
No one has ever said that, have they? What do you fancy about Maloney? It's got to be her lobes.
Well,
cracking set of lobes.
I'm with Mrs. Dolan for her kidneys, which, let me tell you, they don't sleep.
Those kidneys don't sleep. She's famous for that kidney work.
I think I'm going to have to be with someone for their liver.
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? It's got to be strong.
Let's, should we talk about some of these things?
Well, we did pre-prepare.
Well, I don't know why, because we never bother. But we found some good stuff. I want to start off with this one, because it's sort of, we're talking about strong men and their proliferating their DNA. Tyson Fury. I think we can agree he's a strong man.
We can, I wouldn't argue.
We can also agree that he seems to have had a fair amount of kids, because he has. But he's got 4 sons. It's just madness. He's got 4 sons, and he's called all of them Prince.
He's never wrong, is he?
Yeah, can you imagine? Just call. It's easy, isn't it? Because you don't have to worry about remembering all their names. Look, the reason someone like Tyson Fury can do whatever he wants is because he can hit people really hard. So obviously, secretly during the break, we'll talk about how ridiculous that is. But on air, I'm just going to say, what a blooming good idea that is.
It's a great idea. Prince, here's your pocket money. Prince, you're late for school. Prince, pass me the salt.
Yeah.
Right? It's never going to be erroneous.
Great
I've got 2. To this day, I barely know what their gender is, let alone name.
Well, that's because you're woke.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you want to know the names? Do you want to, and the nicknames, and the nicknames of the names, and what their other names could have been? Because I've got a whole load of naming information here for you.
You do that.
So basically, they're all called Prince. And you've got Prince John James, Prince Tyson II, Prince Adonis Amaziah, and Prince Rico Paris. But apparently Prince John James, who is the one who actually just gets called Prince, the others have to have different names.
He's the eldest, isn't he?
He is the eldest. But he was almost called Patrick or Jesus.
Wow.
By the way,
it's always, for me, it's always a toss-up between Patrick and Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, you're called Jesus, no pressure.
No.
But
you might be in someone's shadow here.
To quote the great man, he said, Jesus Fury, I like that name. A lot of Mexicans are called Jesus.
That's true. Jesus.
I know, Jesus. We don't have a proliferation of Jesus in English culture, do we?
It's not very
you wouldn't really
British,
call
is
your
it?
kid Jesus, would you?
No, no, or Prince actually, unless you're a massive great man mountain.
Then he's got Prince Tyson, Prince John. Oh God. So Prince Tyson, which is the second one, is known as Tutty.
Is he
Which
just very
sounds like
condescending?
Exactly.
After what, Tutankhamun?
It also sounds like a euphemism, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you pay the right price, you can see my tutty. Yeah. When I've had a drink, my tutty comes out.
I've seen that tut. Not yours.
I'm out tonight.
It's a classic donut tut.
By the way, the other name is, as you say, Prince Adonis Amaziah. That's a lot of pressure, isn't it? To have you'd have to, if you're going to have that name, you need to be like the leader of a third world country or something. What you can't do is be on the broiler at Burger King if you're called Prince Adonis
You're also not allowed
Amaziah.
to be. You're not allowed to be skinny and ugly.
Correct.
Because that's just that. Then it just becomes a laughing matter. Not that
It becomes ironic, doesn't it? You never want
ironic.
your name to be ironic.
No.
Where they go, he's called Adonis. Lol.
Although I've often thought about this, I am called Paul Cox, which is it does sound like.
We know this. Where you going with it?
It does sound like an action that one could undertake.
Did you get teased at school for that?
That never occurred to me.
No, it didn't occur to me until. I tell you what, this is serious. It's not serious at all. When I first started comedy, everybody assumed my name was a stage name, because to the point I started getting offended. No, it's just my actual name. I've not.
Did you get teased at school with that surname?
I did, but I was like Prince Adonis or whatever. I just used to beat them up.
It's funny, isn't it, that when you're a celebrity, you've got to go for odd names. You know, you don't get like, oh, I'm a celebrity and I've called my kids Matt and
Bob.
Well, I think it's grounding if you do. I mean, calling them like plum sausage or whatever is just, it's like, you can't, so you've got to make sure they go to another school with a bunch of other plum sausages.
Do you know what, one of the saddest out there of all the celebrity names is that Michael Jackson's son Blanket. How old is he now and he's called Blanket?
Wasn't Frank Zappa? Was it Frank Zappa's kid was called Moon Unit?
It's just euphemism for bum, isn't it?
Great, is it? Although it's finally topical, you know. But I mean, that is pretty wild. Moon Unit, I kid you not. I think the answer as to why is because these people are narcissists. So they're geniuses, so their kids are geniuses too, which is why they're going to get called, you know, sort of upside down trousers.
But it rarely works out.
What did you name your kids? What are your kids
called?
Go on.
Well, I don't name mine because, unlike Harry and Meghan, I care about the privacy of my kids. I'm a very famous person, as you know. I can't go to Tesco Express without getting bothered by ladies called Joan. So I just call them Elton and Bernie as their public names.
Although they're sort of like
privately,
pseudonyms.
Their real names are Cocaine and Led Zeppelin.
Nice. Yeah. Good names. Strong.
Are you going to name your kids now?
I don't know whether I should, because you
doxing people's kids on this show.
He's deliberately avoided naming his kids. And I can't remember all of mine.
How many have you got?
I've only got one. I can remember her name. It's a very standard name, actually. Sophie.
Sophie. Yeah, that's good.
Sorry, it's not standard, is it? I think it's elegant.
Anything? It's nice. Anything going on in the middle there? Sophie.
Well, if I give it all out,
or something?
No, I don't want to give a middle name out. But that's also she's named after a queen.
All right.
I love the way that...
You basically just had Elizabeth I, second, and Victoria.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love the way Paul has calculated that if he it takes out the middle name, he's protected her privacy. When it's famously the one name that you don't need to have if you're going to stalk someone.
Middle names are always slightly embarrassing.
The stalker's like, oh no, how am I going to find her without her middle name?
Yeah, it's a good point.
You might have blown her cover, big guy.
I need to know your middle names now, because middle names, you get a hidden treasure in middle names.
She's also doing our A level, which is making her a little bit on the not on our side.
Do you want to give the address of her school as well?
Yeah, I'll tell you where she lives as well.
What time her lesson is? What she's painting as her final project?
I'm making all this up. I haven't really got any children.
No, you know what? Next time I see you, I'm going to house your daughter Sophie. She's entered the witness protection programme. She's actually cohabiting with the Batley school teacher at the moment.
Just would know where he is.
Thanks to my on-air outburst, in which I thought taking out her middle name would protect her privacy.
I've really thrown her.
I want to know your middle names now, because, like I said, you always get some good buried treasure in the middle name section.
Yeah, very simple. Mine's Paul James.
Oh, boy.
They're nice, and they're both saints.
They are, yeah.
Jonathan Matthew.
Oh, my brother's called Jonathan. That's very normal and biblical.
I took Matthew as the confirmation name because I'm a man of deep faith. And I'm going, unlike you two pair of wrong ones, I'm going straight to heaven.
No, well, I'm trying to get there. I am a practising Christian.
He's coming to church with me then at 5.
You go to church today at 5?
Yeah. Well, I can't go to church now because I'm here, aren't I?
Will there be
a normal church service is currently taking place.
Yes,
I'm not present at it.
That's true.
I'm weird, arrogant.
Can I just ask, when does the show start? We're not live yet, are we?
No.
Of
course not.
I was told this wasn't live.
Just fun. It's just pub chat. We've got to take a break. All right, well, let's do it.
Do we have?
Why have they got exclusive rights to the rainbow?
I used to think the pride flag used to look cool when it was just a rainbow, and now it looks so ugly.
But yeah, well, why have they got
why can't we have
brown
and black to a rainbow?
Why can't we have the rainbow? Why have they got to have it?
Or why don't you do planks next week wearing a rainbow jacket? Go on.
Well, yeah, I think I will. I think I will. Let's move on.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
No, not. Depends.
Maybe we should talk about it on the radio and the telly.
Well, we're doing it already now. What are we talking about?
Liz Truss.
And how hunky her security guys are.
Well, there was one who was nice looking. Back in when I went to America with her, there was one guy, and I'm like, "Hey, do you
want to look after me?
You're a security risk with that face."
I just wanted to say that. Do you not think it's a bit annoying for Liz that after a short stint at number 10, she's got to have security for the rest of her life?
Not with nice looking one. That's a great gig.
I think it's a small price to pay. It's great, isn't it?
I'd love that.
I think it's almost the best way to be Prime Minister, really, because it's obviously a thankless task.
Yeah.
If you can't get anything done, then just get in and out in under 50 days, get yourself a bodyguard, take the wedge.
But do you not want to sometimes like slip into?
I don't know what happened there.
You love a sound effect and a gesture.
You know, like sometimes want to slip into co-op unattended. You know what I mean? Just little private moments, and then she's got to have these lads follow her everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why do you want to slip into co-op unattended? Do you think she wants to put a leg of lamb up at a bayer?
Well, I go to the co-op and just relax there.
Is that what you do?
I'm a little bit different.
I think that's the hardest. That's the hardest shop to relax in.
Where's Mark going? He's just off to co-op.
If you were going to relax in a supermarket, you wouldn't choose co-op because that's the one that all the shoplifters love the most.
Is it?
I think so. They love targeted
They've all
co-op.
got body cams and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a war zone in there.
I'll tell you what, you ever tried using Sports Direct?
I've got to ask you what sheets you've got, Ray.
100% Egyptian cotton. You?
Oh, me. I'm 1,200 thread count.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
Not your bed sheets, Alex, just for clarification. It's been weird, Ella, but it's never been whatever that might be.
Have you got something? Secrets are being kept from me. He came in there, Ratty. He's living up to his name now.
Ratty boy.
He came in, the rat, with some bits of paper, had some quiet conflab with you, left you with some sheets.
Oh yes, let me do that.
And is now pushing for the sheet. And I don't. This is going to be about me. I can tell.
No, it's my last act on the Weird Hour because according to my contract, if I do another 3 minutes, you have to pay me.
Yes, another 20 grand, isn't it?
That's right. It goes big time. So here we go. No, I've got Sky News Australia in a minute.
Oh, well, they actually do pay.
And I've got some truth bombs. I'm going to explain to them that the country is almost over. But before then, let me just read this out to you. Dear Talk, Alex, I've got to admit that you are my celebrity crush. Love your... with love, your English Uber driver, ha ha ha, Gav. And I will say, Gav's a good-looking lad.
Hey, that's Gav.
Great ears.
You could do a lot worse.
Thanks, Gav. Also, everyone loves a unicorn, don't they? You don't really, you don't often get Gavs in Ubers.
No, you don't. You don't get many Gavins anymore, do you?
You get Gavins in the back seat of Ubers.
He's got a winning smile. He's got a reliable source of income because people will always need a taxi. I think you're home and hosed.
Home and hosed? Is that a Gavin promise?
It is really, yeah. You pay extra for that. Listen, I've got to go. I'm actually meeting his daughter at a bus stop.
Yes.
So.
helping with that art project, are you?
Sophie,
is that
whatever
why
her middle name is.
That we got hazard warnings around your neck to put the little girls off you.
The court made me wear this. Judge's idea.
Beacon safety tie.
Do you know what? Don't worry. Just walk in front of the camera. We don't care.
Really? Yeah, get out.
Just get out.
Say hello to Australia for me.
Yeah, unplug yourself. There we off it.
Ciao.
Bye.
See you later, Mark. Love you. Bye.
We love Mark. Why? I don't know why I didn't save the whole hour. Oh yeah, that's right. Sky News Australia.
Sky News Australia.
Yeah, we don't do that. I've got a really great message here. Alex, we had a kid called Wayne King.
Yeah, wow.
In Tiverton School in the 1980s.
I actually worked with it.
Thanks for the tea, my darling.
Yeah, I worked with some of these.
I'm booby trapped. I've got so many cups of tea, and one of these is from a machine.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Do you reckon I can look at the different colours of these, right? One is sort of tea coloured. The other one's like the colour of human flesh. Look at those. Which one do you reckon is the machine?
Well,
that's the machine.
Yeah, it's got
human
to be.
flesh is
I
machine.
prefer to drink that. Give it a lit. We'll get Gavin to pay for it.
It's got sugar in it.
Oh no! Oh no! Of all the things.
I mean, that's a bit of a dramatic reaction to sweetness, but I haven't had sugar for about 25 years or so. It changes your palate.
Is that the first time?
Do you know when you go all keto? Mark and I are both keto, except he's skinny and I'm not.
You are in good shape.
Thanks.
You are. You are.
I wore a dress yesterday.
Did
normally
you?
I just come in like jeans and trainers and sloppiness. I actually wore a dress yesterday, like a sort of contoury dress. And even Ratty was like, "Oh, look at you! You've got an okay body." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
You've got an okay
floating head.
Great ears.
Floating head, and underneath this, I'm a weeble. But no, apparently.
Well, you dressed up. Leo was in yesterday, wasn't he?
Maybe that was why.
Mm.
Yeah.
He's a handsome man, actually. He's about 6'4" as well, which is what all the ladies like.
Everything's tasting weird now.
Is
I don't
it?
like any of my
It's
teas.
Weird Al, huh?
Yeah, it's Weird Al. I don't like any of my teas.
What has Ratty put in it, other than his genitalia?
I don't know if Ratty made this one. No, I think it's where I've just had the sugared one. So this is it. When you go keto, right, and you just stop eating all sugary things, anything with sugar tastes so wild. After a while, it's just like, what? It's mad.
So if you look at my social, every year I go, either I'm in my fat moments at the moment, and I will drop 2 stone at some point this year. Every year is the same. I've literally got 2 wardrobes.
Are you like summer skinny, winter fat? Because I am.
Yeah, I can be, but I really this winter in particular, I ate like I forgot to hibernate, and I was like preparing for hibernation.
That's what you do.
And never did it.
Yeah.
And just ate lots of toffee.
I automatically become like a massive fatty, itchy person. In winter, I'm fat. I'm puffy and I scratch like a baboon. Summer, Alex, it's like, woohoo, let's get that skin out. It's normal again.
It's just turning for me now. Like I don't want to eat as much rubbish as I normally would. And
you can't eat a salad in the winter, can you? It's like,
well, apparently you can, but I mean,
I think you should get a criminal conviction if you do.
You'd have to vote green or something, which would be a fate worse than death.
It's not okay.
He's mental. He's weird. I'd love to do Weird Al with Zach Polanski.
Oh my God.
That would be brilliant, because I've got some questions for Rat.
Well, there you go. Ratty's going to put that bid in. He won't come on, will he?
Of course he won't.
Actually, we should invite him to do the first hour. And can we also bring in, if we get him, can we also bring a dentist in? Just, 2 birds, 1 stone. What, you're going to do the dentistry?
Why not?
live dentistry on Zach Polanski, conducted by Paul
Wouldn't that'd be amazing?
It's like the time you and Andrew Gold were there, and what was it that you were supposed to be doing? Like repairing an HMS Dragon or something? Better get...
You literally...
Fatty and Dewy.
Fatty and Dewy.
HMS Dragon needs repairing. Time for Fatty and Dewy.
Ratty, Fatty and Dewy. It just scans really well, doesn't it?
It's so beautiful.
Oh,
right.
It's like
What's
Enid
that,
Blyton.
Ratty? A break. We got a break.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Adverts, don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
They are all mine. I've trashed the joint. I've got I don't really know. Got so many
it's like a teenager's bedroom.
No, because the wide shot you can't actually see in detail the mug selection. You've got a mixture of mug and Gav.
Oh, bless him.
There's our Gav. Got some messages here. Tony Blair was called Teflon Tony. I think Starmer should be called Non-Stick Starmer.
Yeah.
That's not funny enough for Weird Al. I like it.
It does rhyme with non-stick. But
Oh, hold on. There's actually story arc, because Kevin Brentwood says, speaking of kids' names, does anyone know the names of our benighted leaders' kids? Well,
no.
Non and Stick, apparently.
Yeah. God bless him. He's got one of each, isn't he?
I don't know.
Because there's only 2 genders, Alex. Let's break that on.
Well, how does he know which ones he's got?
He doesn't know. Yeah, they must. I guess these Labour MPs, they must get incredibly confused because obviously in real life they stick to reality. There's nowhere they go home and ask the wife if she's got a willy. They all know what reality looks like, but in public they have to. This is why they fall over themselves when they get asked every single time there's a general election. Can you tell me what a woman is? And they stumble. It's like, mate. They're 0.3% of the population. You're not losing votes by saying that women don't have willies. Anyway, it's back to Weird Hour.
Not sure if I've tuned into Weird Hour or Smutty Hour. But whatever it is, it's still entertaining. Keep it up. Well, there we go. Talking about willies now.
Yes.
I mean, my son's... Oh, here we go. My son's middle... Where's that just gone? There we go. My son's middle name is Emrys or Emrys.
Emrys, okay. Look.
It's Merlin's druid name. Well, very much the only thing me and the ex-wife agreed on. It's good name.
Emrys. That sounds that could be good. That could be a good first name. It's quite. But you do have to be middle class to hold these names. You know you can't go to your local comprehensive next to a council estate.
I want to bring back traditional Anglo-Saxon names.
Yeah.
Like Ethelred.
Yeah.
And
Ethelred.
Egwin.
Imagine that.
Yeah. When I
just out with Egwin tonight.
Yeah. My kids are all going to be named like Ethelred, Egwin, Osbert.
You don't currently. You haven't got children, have you?
No, I'm not even expecting one. Sometime at some point.
But what would be your preferred name if it was a boy or a girl? Have you got one? Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, of course I have. Got lists and stuff, laminated.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah, spreadsheets. I've got archives of material on this topic because you just do. Well, I've always liked... No, I'm going to sound really middle class now. I've always liked Alethea. For a girl, Alethea, which actually sounds a bit like saying Alicia with a lisp, unfortunately.
Woke.
But
you're woke.
You have to think what they'd be shortened to.
I'm not woke. Alethea means unveiled in Greek. In philosophy, it means like the truth. And my mum had a friend at school called Alethea, and they shortened it to Leaf, which I think is kind of nice.
That is nice.
I like that.
Is very Alethea. Boy? Have you got a boy name?
Well, I've always just like biblical names for boys. Like Luke is quite good, just simple.
Yeah.
But then this is a bit of an embarrassing thing to admit, but my ex's middle name, and I always thought we'd have children together, quite frankly. That didn't work out. But we had an agreement that if we were going to have kids and it was a son, it'd have his middle name, which is the name of his grandfather, which was Willoughby.
Oh, I love that.
I know, isn't it good? I'm like, can I still use that, even now we're broken up?
I had a cat called Wilson. I've always liked Wilson.
Oh my God! Yeah, Chris is now literally making an alarm noise. I'm not allowed to talk about my ex. I'm banned in life.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Was he a nice guy?
Let's not talk about him.
Okay, yeah.
No, talking about...
What were we talking about?
In fact, I was speaking to him the other day and he was asking why we weren't together or if we were together. Yeah,
that would be weird. They could work, though. You never know.
Okay, right, we're not moving on. Moving on.
They're going mental in
They'll
there.
go mad. I don't know what to go... Now,
well, I can fill in if you like. I really wanted to call my son, and I've got a son, William, until it was pointed out that would be Willie Cox, which is incredible.
That's a heavy load to bear.
That is a heavy load to bear.
If his middle name was Richard, he could be Willie Dick Cox. Get them all in there.
Just get them all.
Just roll them all out in one.
Not really a segue into whatever you want to talk about, but let's do it.
Well, it was working out okay when we're talking about middle class stuff.
Yes, it was,
because,
wasn't it?
So I've life hacked the system a long time ago, which is I realise that middle class people have the worst of all worlds because they don't go to the good stuff.
No, because they refuse to due
they
to
don't know how good it is.
Due to their ridiculous snobbery, which it seems to be something they manufacture themselves.
So, for instance, Wetherspoons is the greatest pub known to mankind. I mean, it's just Wetherspoons is amazing.
Cheap. Drink.
So cheap, good alcohols, local beers, always in amazing establishments. They don't have loud music playing, they're not like that.
Really long walks to the loo. If you like walking.
Yeah, carpet that makes you feel drunk.
Yeah.
You don't have to drink that much to feel weird in Wetherspoons. It's like, whoa. But no, Wetherspoons is amazing. And a load of people in the middle classes have never been to a Wetherspoons. And when you take them in, it's like, well, let's go to Wetherspoons, and they're like, do I have to? They come out the other side of convert. And then they start preaching to their friends. I'm like, we mustn't tell them anymore. Yeah. We can't let them have access to our safe spaces.
It's all a facade. They don't think that the middle classes, of which we are part of, really.
I know, frankly, we are.
And it's something that I've grown into. I didn't start in the middle classes, but then when I look back at where I did start, I think, well, maybe I am. But it's just all a pretence.
It's a pretence at the cost of great joy. So, for instance, right? So it's based on this story here, which is middle-class families are turning their nose up at Butlins, but they're really missing out. And so I was like, I've not actually been to a Butlins lately, but looking at all this stuff, I'm like, I'm off there. I'm going.
There's a big one quite near me.
So talking about Butlins in Bognor Regis being...
That's the one. It's not that far from me. It's about a half-an-hour drive from me, that one.
Did you go?
I haven't been since a kid, but I know plenty of people who've gone to the weekenders. They do these adult weekenders themed, often 80s or 90s themed adult weekenders. Sort of sounds good. The accommodation is that you can get like from basic right the way up to sort of hotel rooms.
It sounds well messy.
The facilities are great. Yeah, I imagine those weekends are all sort of adultery and drunkenness, I guess.
Got legendary DJ Fatboy Slim, who has been holding a 3-day adult weekender at Butlins Camp in Minehead. Got all these A-list celebrities. Colleen and Wayne Rooney, lover Butlins. Of course they do. Sensible people. But I just, reading about this, I'm like, this sounds amazing. Horse Meat Disco, Jodie Harsh.
Horse Meat Disco,
Never heard
did
of
you
that.
say?
Yeah.
That sounds like something
even Idris Elba went down, took the decks in Butlins in 20... But I love stuff like that.
Did you go to holiday parks as a kid? I did.
No, we just... my father used to make us...
I did. That was very middle class.
Well, no, we were actually just super poor. We just...
Right, OK.
Everyone else was going on holidays on aeroplane. Not super poor, but... That makes us sound like, Oliver Twist or something. But we weren't sort of jetting off to Mallorca and Euro Disney.
No, none of that for me.
Off to North Wales you go. Time to walk up
My
some
holiday
mountains.
highlight as a child...
Here's your cagoule, it's holiday time.
I flew once to Jersey as a child, 1987.
Wow.
The year the kid fell in the gorilla pit at Jersey Zoo.
You in that gorilla pit.
I know.
It's left a mark on you,
That whole holiday left a mark on me. I discovered all sorts that holiday.
What did you find out that holiday?
I liked chocolate milkshake. I'd never really... See, up until that point, I'd had SodaStream and Nesquik and all this stuff that Mum said was better than the real thing. Then on holiday, I had the real thing. And I was like, she's been lying to me the whole time. Wow.
I love the fact whenever we're together, it always goes back to food. What's wrong with us?
Oh, I can still remember that milkshake. Delicious.
Because I was asking you earlier during Lambert break where cuppa soup went. Do people still make cuppa soup?
They probably do.
I haven't seen that for ages.
But it's usually sort of Walkers.
Oh, not like the crisp manufacturers.
No.
Like branched into like making crisp soup or something.
As in people... Because I love... Do you like a walk?
I love
ramble,
a walk.
proper ramble.
Yeah, I'm a hikist.
Like, yeah, me too. Why aren't we doing... So, we're going... Where are we going? We're going Gran Canaria. We're going Butlins.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to do this on a romp.
Don't start romping with me, sunshine. Get yourself into trouble with that sort of language. But you know what else is like one of the greatest things that middle-class people tend to not know?
What's
they
that?
don't know of the Toby Carvery.
They don't.
My Toby Carvery game is chef's kiss. I've Toby Carvered enough to know how to work that system. People don't realise you can work that system. First of all, the mistake people make is they think you've got to have the king's plate to have all of the meats. No. You can have all the meats with the normal plate. It's just not as much plate left to put all the extra stuff. But believe you me, I've never seen anybody, even with the normal size plate, finish it. You can't finish a Toby Carvery.
No,
because you get so greedy.
Absolutely. You can't go back round on a Toby Carvery.
You can't, but that's why people just make a mountain. But then I like say, what's that, Tech? You can go second round, what, without the king's plate? You can do a second round of veg.
This is breaking news. Breaking news.
Breaking news. We need to get an official line from Toby Carvery on whether or not I've been doing Toby Carvery properly.
Feel free to sponsor the show, by the way.
But the other thing I do, and people, I think people are so British, we don't ask for what we want. And so I've got this thing that I like
the show from Toby
skin.
Carvery.
And I like fat. Do the show from Toby Carvery. Well, that's going to be a lot of PR and red tape. We're probably too right-wing. They probably won't. Well, we can try.
I'd imagine a lot of Toby Carvery people are on the right.
I reckon they probably are. It feels like a right... I mean, Carveries itself are quite right-wing.
And by the way, can we just say that there is two sides to politics and the right is not bad?
The right is the best.
The right is the best. I know, I mean... what am I trying to convey? Everyone out there's going... Yeah.
That's why we're listening to you right now.
But, you know, I get fed up with that.
But you want to know my Toby Carvery...
Yeah,
technique.
please. Sorry, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. So I go for all the meats, but not the beef. And I always basically say, right, I want a little thin slice of the gammon there. I want everything with fat and skin. Because everyone else, they do this thing that they basically deglove the turkey.
Yeah, they do.
And then they take slices of the breast. And I'm like, no. You see all that layer of skin that's just hanging off the side? I want that. And they'll go, on the plate. And it's the same with the lamb. I'm like, can you turn it over? Not that fatty skin bit. Just slices of that, please. I basically just have all of the
bits of the
pure
lot of the public don't want. And always, 9 times out of 10, it's always a pretty jolly carver as well. Which sounds like the name of a pub itself, doesn't it? But the guy who serves the meats is always at Toby Carvery, normally quite a jolly bloke who doesn't mind a bit of negotiation where you can say...
they're quite relaxed. It's not like, well, you know, computer says you've got to have... You know, this sort of... You want just skin, you can have just skin. So I basically pile my plate with skin, chuck on a bit of the pork scratching, and then after that, it's like, you know...
All the veg. Potatoes.
Some veg. Yeah.
Mash.
Yeah. The only thing is that there are some sort of weird interlopers at a Toby Carvery, like macaroni cheese. I'm like, what are you doing there?
What are you doing there?
You're not...
That's how it begins. 1 minute it's macaroni cheese, before you know it.
Do you know what I'm really
here.
angry about?
Go on.
I'm really angry about hash browns. Because they've somehow now wheedled their way into a full English breakfast as a standard item.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get off. You might love a hash brown. You might think it belongs there. But it has usurped the place of fried bread.
That's kind of American,
and that's not okay. Fried bread is so disgusting. It has to be British.
That's such
it's
a good...
amazing.
It very rarely gets offered now, fried bread.
It's gone because hash browns come in.
And do you think it's a health thing? Do you think it's a right-wing thing? Do you think it needs to become? Do you think it needs to be reform policy?
I think it does need to be reform policy. Ban 20-mile-per-hour zones. And to be honest, I've had this conversation before. I'm not happy with the fact standard bread offerings become soda bread because it tastes like paracetamol. I don't like it.
It does. It really does.
Funny.
It does.
It tastes like medicines, and it's got all these holes in it. Butter don't absorb anything. You know, if you put butter on soda bread, it either goes into the holes and out the other side. Don't absorb because it's made of like plastic.
I do like a granary. But if you're gonna go for it, that's not a place to go to meet old ladies, by the way.
I love it down the granary.
I do love it down the granary.
I bet it's the name of a Weatherspoons.
Or
probably a Toby Carvery.
Yeah. There's a Weatherspoons near here, isn't there? I've never been in it. I walked past it.
Last time I went there was with Mark Dolan decided he was going to take us all out.
Oh, that was yes.
After the show. Oh, it got mental.
Did it?
Mark Dolan was just like calling everyone champ, prince, legend, you know he does. And he wouldn't stop buying drinks. I don't know whether he had sort of secretly like won the lottery, but it was a free day. He bought everything, and it's basically 15
I missed that.
people.
I wasn't feeling very
and he was going absolutely wild. And he's basically like, I'd have sipped a bit of gin and tonic, and he's like, right, I've just bought you triple gin to go in the top of your gin and tonic. I think he was trying to kill us off.
He's thinking, right, this station is mine. All I need to do is kill all these presenters.
It was really, but he didn't know he was dealing with liver and his.
No, did Dean go?
Dean was there. Of course, Dean was there.
Of course.
You
could smell it in the air.
Yeah, he was there. We had Ratty, Dean,
Mike Neville was there.
Liver. Mike Neville was there. Aladdin came.
Schoolboy.
Who's Schoolboy?
That was a guy that was trying to do something. I can't say it on air.
That's what. If you're talking about Prince, maybe he's one of Tyson Fury's children because his nickname is Prince. Yeah, there he is. See Prince's vision mixing today.
Right, you can't see what I can see, people out there, but he's definitely not one of Tyson Fury's children.
He's so sweet, isn't he? He's cherubic.
He's such a lovely guy.
He's
gets
so
so
nice.
much stick here.
We love him. I bet he's turned crimson because he's got that sort of complexion that you can see the ear. I can just on the back of his head. I can see the exposed ear is now a tone of puce. But so I was saying about my Toby Carvery, I don't eat beef. I don't eat beef because this is kind of embarrassing as a full-grown adult. But I don't eat beef because I find cows really cute.
Oh, that's
genuinely.
That's not embarrassing.
I love cows so much, and so I pulled this out because this is important, which is a farmer has vowed to crossbreed his Highland cows so they're less photogenic in a bid to stop influencers hugging them and taking selfies. Why not just come out of an electric fence?
Well, yeah, exactly. I do worry sometimes. That's what they did with my parents to make me less photogenic. Just put my parents together to breed me. Oh, he'll be fine. They won't take photographs of him. But he can monetize this. I've read this story.
I'm going to deliberately breed ugly cows.
This is the Peak District, Derbyshire. Those cows are beautiful. We've all seen them. Long ginger hair.
Highland cattle are just the nicest
and
things.
They're very calm as well. You can't just stroll up to cattle. It's very dangerous. 6 people a year get killed by cows, Alex. We should take cows seriously. And in the UK, they get trampled.
They live opposite me.
Yeah, but you're not out in the... Well, you might be actually.
I've got this habit that I try and touch their noses, touch those.
What do they look like as a cat?
Oh, they're Dexter cattle. They're shiny black ones.
Wow.
And now they've all got their little babies, right? And Kenny and Ken actually told me...
Do not get between a cow and its baby.
Kenny and Ken told me something harrowing.
Did he?
In the pub. Yeah. He said to me, "Oh, Alex, there's going to be some tough times coming up in the next couple of weeks in the village." And I was like, "What's that, Ken?" And he's like, "Well, you've seen all the little baby cows in the fields." I'm like, "Oh, they're so cute. I love them." He says, "Wow, they're going to be taken from their mothers, and all you hear is the screams of agony and distress."
This is your first spring there.
Yeah, I've not been through...
That's true. That is so true.
Have you seen the cow
I've heard
separation?
That before,
You've
yeah.
heard it?
It's not nice, especially where you are. So your house backs onto a field.
Fronts onto it, yeah.
Fronts onto
the cows,
That's high end.
Right, we've got to go for a break. Nagy way is like, you know, we've got to go to break. Got to go to break. Why? Oh, yeah, because I want to be paid.
The show.
I mean, yeah, man, yeah. Okay, we're back after this.
Why have they got exclusive rights to the rainbow?
I used to think the pride flag used to look cool when it was just a rainbow, and now it looks so ugly.
But yeah, well, why have they got why can't we have the
brown
rainbow?
and black to a rainbow?
Why can't we have the rainbow? Why have they got to have it?
Or why don't you do planks next week wearing a rainbow jacket? Go on.
Well, yeah, I think I will. I think I will. Let's move on.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's getting very censorious in this place.
Yeah, very
Is that the
Optonish.
word censorious?
Yeah,
or does that mean
it's not
anger?
It's not Simeon.
Don't Simeon me again. Not Simeon! Don't you get that Simeon back out. Oh, anyway. So, yeah, Kenny and Ken said I'm going to have a harrowing time in the village with the cow separation gate.
Yeah, that is quite something.
So that means if I wanted to steal one, because I've eyed them up, they're accessible.
A lot
and
of people from, like, PETA and the animal rights activists, these are something they point to. Because there's a reason they're taken away. They're taken away for milking and meat eventually and all that
I know,
sort of stuff.
the ones opposite my house are the meat ones. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
It's, you know, I just prefer seeing it in cellophane in Waitrose.
See, I'm gonna give them as pleasant a life as possible while they're on this earth. I will not be partaking in the consumption of the flesh, but I'm going to touch as many dozes as possible. Doze.
That's what you call it.
Yeah, doze.
Doze.
Yeah.
But then again, you love lamb, you chicken, you can care for these things.
So I was driving through Stride the other day, and Stride is very sheepy.
Yes,
a lot
it is,
of biz going on with the sheep world down there, and all the lambs.
Very busy sheep season now as well.
Very busy sheep season. They're so brand new. They're so brand new in the fields. Like they can't even stand up, and you're just like, I'm hurting so much. You know when something's so cute, you actually want to gouge your eyes out and throw them in anger at the thing that's cute.
Yeah, once you've finished a Lovely bit of lamb.
I do like a bit of lamb.
It's tasty, isn't it?
It
Mint
is
sauce.
tasty. Thing is, though, this is the difference. Lamb's adorable. Sheep, sketchy.
Yeah.
They're a bit weird. Like, I look at sheep and just go, all right, like mad eyes.
Yeah.
What's going on with these? It's like, did you nick those off a snake?
That's a good. It's weird, isn't it? It's opposite to a swan. A cygnet's kind of ugly, as the fable goes, and grows into a beautiful swan. Sheep are the other way around.
Sheep are totally the other way around.
It's not.
But animals' eyes are a really weird thing. Have you ever thought about animals'
Well,
eyes
goats are square
before?
for a start.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like the sheep with their square, like the letterbox eyes.
Yeah,
it's like,
suspicious.
why did that happen? Why has someone gone like, right, you're gonna have square
Perhaps
things?
that's what's going on.
Do they
Perhaps
watch loads of telly?
No one says that anymore, do they?
I know. Does anyone still say that? Don't watch that television. Your eyes are gonna go square.
Yeah, because everyone's in front of screens now,
I had a
aren't
very
they?
West Country accent there.
So would your eyes go oblong? I mean, what is that, oblong? I don't know. Rectangular.
Your eyes just go up and down because you're constantly like doom scrolling.
It's not good, is it?
So sheep eyes, I think, when it comes to animal eyes, sheep. If we're going to do a list of animal eyes, sheep eyes are some of my least favourites. Don't like them.
Yeah.
But then it was. So I've had cats all my life. I love cats.
Do you like cats?
And
yeah.
then someone turned around and said to me, and it sort of almost changed things, but not entirely. They said, "Why do cats have the same eyes as reptiles?" And I was like, "Whoa."
Yes.
Why do they?
Well, they're not exactly the same eyes, are they? But I see what you mean.
But like the sort of
The
yellow
vertical
and then
slits.
slits.
That'll be something to do with science. God,
And then
it'll be everything to do with God.
Sometimes dogs, when they look that direction and stuff, you realise they've got eyes quite a lot like humans because they've got all the white around the eyes, but then you can't...
Name for it, bit parchment, name for a new programme, swap eyes. eye swap.
Oh my God, I'd love to actually, like, using, like, Glock or something, swap animals' eyes
Alex
around.
puts animals' eyes in, live.
Yeah, change the eyes on the animal.
just you turn your head. It's a goat. Just Alex like,
whose eyes are these?
Yeah.
Eyes surprise.
Yeah, people have to ring in and go and argue over what eyes they are.
But some animals' eyes are unnerving.
They are, yeah, especially when you wake up and they're in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was... I was just trying to think of something weird to say. It wasn't weird enough.
Do you want to know something? I love the fact, by the way, our #1 fan has sent us... She's not
Claire.
listening right now, Claire. She sent us a courtesy note.
To say she wouldn't be here.
So she's going to be absent. She's excusing herself from the
Claire.
show today.
She'll definitely be watching back.
She says, "Hi, Alex, #1 fan here. Oh, what's your nickname? Alex."
Alex and Guest.
I must admit, I'm not watching Weird Hour live today. The weather is lovely up here in North Wales, so we've walked to the pub. I'll watch later on catch up. That's okay.
That is
But
okay. You can all watch and catch up.
I think we need to have, if you're not watching live today, you've got to send in your excuses. We want, you know.
Yeah, you have
for
to
the
have a
register.
note from your mum.
Yeah, note from your mum. Why you're not attending Weird Hour.
The reason Paul hasn't got PE kit today is because...
Did you ever forge letters at school? Did you
I
ever...
tried, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did. I tried
But I
it
loved PE.
Did you?
Loved it.
Sorry, that was such sort of...
I didn't look like this when I was 9.
No, it's like the combination of sort of, you know, being generous of frame and glasses. It's normally the anti-PE physiology.
I had the complete opposite. As a kid, I was quite the athlete. Genuinely, and I loved PE, so I didn't have to write notes for much.
So what were you getting out of?
I never truanted. Actually, I don't know if I ever did write a note. I never truanted.
I once got in trouble because I wanted to get out of PE. I hated it.
Yeah.
And so I pretended to write a letter to my mum saying I had the opticians or something, and they just saw through it. But I got into serious trouble, and I'm like, but you're trying to make me vault over a horse, and I mean, it's aggressive. The gymnastics side, you know, hockey, fine, throw me into that. Netball, didn't like it, but I'll get on with that. But the way they used to conduct the blimmin' gymnastics at my school, first of all, the uniform was knickers.
But not actual knickers.
Yeah, gym knickers.
Gym knickers, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're knickers.
Well, I guess they are.
There was no, like, skirt. There was no shorts. It was just horrible, like knickers. And then, and I just couldn't do half the stuff. And I think half the stuff could have killed me. You know, when you have to run like this and then jump on something over a box onto a mattress behind, if you're a bit, you know...
Oh, just got a message from the producer. Oh, Gavin's typed in and said, can he have a picture of Alex in her gym knickers?
With goat eyes.
With goat eyes.
What a combination. Someone at home Jim's going to be using guac for that, and I'm going to be like, you know, now is time to ban X.
Yes.
You know, Jim Nichols and Go Alex.
You're just not active on social media at the moment, are you, at all, really?
I gave it up for Lent, and I loved giving it up too much, and I have to force myself to do it again.
Well, if you don't need to, you don't need to, do you? But
the thing is, I kind of have to need. I have to.
I have to need. That's your autobiography title. Alex Phillips, I have to need.
I love that. I don't even know what that means.
No, me either.
Have we got time to squeeze in this? Because I quite like it.
What is it?
So a mysterious man wearing modern-looking clothing has been spotted on a 1917 photograph from Canada.
I saw this.
So people think this is actually an example. Have we got the picture? Right. All right, so you say let's do this story and you can't even give the picture.
Ratty.
That's absolutely rubbish. The photograph was unearthed in Lester Ray Peterson's, that is such an old name, 1974 publication, The Great Cape Scott Story. But basically, there's like all these characters wearing normal stuff, and then you've got this geezer in the middle of it who's just, I don't know, ahead of his time.
Yeah, well, this is not the first time this has happened. This is an early one. This guy does look like a modern-day surfer with T-shirt and kind of flopsy hair, a little bit out of sync with everything else that's going on around him. But there was a picture in British Columbia from 1944 where, I don't know if you've ever seen this, where a guy had modern-day sunglasses and a printed T-shirt.
Was it a Weird Hour T-shirt?
It wasn't a Weird Hour. That's mystery meat. I don't know how to do that. I just got all sorts of hand gestures.
I love all of that stuff. Are you excited about the fact that, by the way, Trump's about to print the UFO stuff?
Yes, of course I am. That's fantastic. The trouble is, they wouldn't. He's the perfect president to do it. A, he would, and B, those who want to deny it will deny it because it's Trump.
Talking about strange animal eyes, I feel like Trump's got weird eyes.
A little bit. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's something funny going on there.
Yeah.
We got to come off air now.
That's
no, we
ridiculous.
don't. Yeah, we do. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. We've got to do. We got 45 minutes. 45 seconds.
Wow. We can do it. No problem.
What do we fill that with? Oh, so I can say beat the Barneses back on Saturday, and we've got Congressman